Hello everyone, this is part 12 of What If Naruto was banished and becomes Raikage, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and to like, to subscribe, to see more comment down below. Possible, thought Tsunade, as she couldn't believe her eyes. There no way it can be him, said Doku with some fear in his voice as he took a step back. It can't be, thought Kurenai as she knew it wasn't some genjutsu disguise as she could sense it or see through it if it was. Impossible. You're dead, you can't be him, cried the Tsuchikage with the utmost rage, fury and disbelief. Is this some kind of cruel trick by the Raikage, spoke Kakashi as he too could not believe what he was seeing. How is this possible, cried Orochimaru with fury, as he was beginning to lose his calm exterior. There's no possible way you can be alive, you're dead, I know it, he cried, as he refused to believe that he was still alive after all these years. For although his appearance had changed a bit from when he saw last him, it was still him as he easily recognized the man who stole the title of Yondaime Hokage from him. For right before them was none other than the legendary shinobi himself, Namikaze Minato, better known as Konoha no Kiroi Senko Konoha's Yellow Flash. With the Raikage after the Raikage's identity was finally revealed, the surrounding people remained in a state of utter shock and confusion, as they still could not believe that the Rokudaime Raikage was Namikaze Minato, better known as Konoha no Kiroi Senko Konoha's Yellow Flash and the Yondaime Hokage. As the people stared at the Raikage, who had not moved or spoken, since taking off his mask and cage hat, many different thoughts went through their minds as they looked at the now revealed Raikage. The Yondaime Hokage, thought Shinran in disbelief. Namikaze, thought Orochimaru in anger and confusion, at the Yondaime being alive, as he knew that he couldn't have been brought back from the dead. As the only way he could be was by the Kuchiyos, Edo Tensei summoning, and pure world resurrection, and he was the only person alive to be able to use it, hence it was impossible for anyone to know it. Not to mention the fact that the technique could only bring a person back from the dead for a short time and the Raikage had been around for years. Minato, thought Jiraiya, who still could not believe that his former prize student was alive and was the Raikage. Sensei, thought Kakashi, who like Jiraiya was finding hard to accept that it was his former sensei, especially since he saw his body after the Kyuubi attack. The Yondaime, thought Shizune, who like many people were wondering if this was some kind of trick. Kiroi Senko, thought Ryoku with near unbridled fury and rage at seeing the man he hated more than anyone else in the world and personally blamed for all the shame and humiliation he had suffered during and after the Third Great Shinobi World War. The man he had believed to have been dead for over 22 years, after defeating the Kyuubi and robbing him of his revenge. It's not possible, you can't be the Yondaime, he's dead, cried Ryoku angrily, as he didn't really know whether to be happy that he was alive, so that he could finally get his revenge on the Yondaime and kill him himself, or furious simply because he was still alive. Since when he first heard that Yondaime had died defeating the Kyuubi, he had been furious, and had destroyed his office in rage at how the Yondaime cheating him of his vengeance. But later on he took solace in the fact he was dead, but seeing him, or at least someone who looked like him right in front of him, made him feel as if he had been tricked somehow. You're right, I'm not the Namikaze Minato, replied the Raikage, as he spat out Minato's name as if something vile. Then who are you? Asked Shinran. At this a small smirk appeared on the Raikage's face, as he was going to enjoy the look on their faces in the next moment or two. I'm his son. Sensei had a son, BB, but how, when, thought Kakashi. The Yondaime had a son. Did he have some kind of fling with a Kumo Kunoichi or something? Cried Kiba in shock like everyone else, at the fact that the Raikage was the son of Konoha, greatest shinobi and hero as well as its strongest Hokage. Although it made some sense as to why he looked like the Yondaime considering he was his son, but even still many found it hard to accept. But as shocked as everyone was, two people were more shocked than everyone else was. These people were Tsunade and Jiraiya, who now knew exactly who the Raikage really was. It can't be, it just couldn't be him, can it? Thought Tsunade in disbelief and in a way a small twig of hope. I don't believe it, can it really be him? But if it is, then how did he find out? And how can he be alive? The Toad said he was dead, thought Jiraiya, as he dared believe what Tsunade was starting to believe. You're lying, that's impossible. There's no possible way that bastard had a son or even a child. If he did, I would have known about it, cried Ryoku with rage, as the very notion of the Yondaime having a bastard offspring made him furious beyond words, as his very existence was a mockery to him, as it was as if the Yondaime was mocking him from beyond the grave, telling him that he still lives on through his son. I can assure you that it is true, and I can also assure you that I am no more fond of being his son than you are of knowing that I even exist, replied the Raikage. My existence was a closely guarded secret for fear of my father's enemies finding out I existed, hence very few people knew that I was his son. As they knew that people like you, Ryoku-san, would hunt me down and kill me for my father's offensives against you and simply because I was his son. If this is true, then why is it that you're with New Kumo and not with Konoha? Spoke Orochimaru, as the very idea of the Yondaime having a child without him knowing about it was infuriating, as he made it a point to know about important things happening in Konoha after he left the village, and the fact that the Yondaime having a child was of great importance, due to the fact that the Yondaime's offspring may become like its father, where it could be either a great threat to him or a powerful new vessel for him. Simple really. I was banished from Konoha, replied the Raikage, shocking the anti-Konoha coalition leaders as well as the observing groups, although a certain Nara and Aburame eyes widen in realization, now realizing who the Raikage really was. That's impossible. Konoha would never banish the son of the greatest Hokage and hero, spoke the Mizukage Shiro, as he didn't believe that Konoha would be foolish enough to banish the son of its greatest Hokage. Oh, they would if they didn't know my full heritage, since as I said very few knew my true lineage, not to mention they would do so if they believed it was in their best interest, replied the Raikage. Even if this was true, what possible reason would they have to banish, as I can see no reason why they would do such a thing, answered Orochimaru. Haven't you figured it out already, heavy team? Asked the Raikage with a sneer. It seems the term genius was given to just about to anyone in Konoha, back when you were a kid. This remark of course did not sit well with Orochimaru, as if there was one thing he prided above all things and would not allow to be insulted, it was his intelligence, where he then glared at the Raikage angrily for his remark. Well then allow me to help you and think carefully, heavy team. Don't I remind you of someone else you know from Konoha, spoke the Raikage, with a mocking-like tone of voice. I have foiled your plans 3 times in my youth. I'm the son of a Hokage from Konoha. I was banished from the village, because they believed I was a threat to it, and I was born 22 years ago. Upon hearing the last part, Orochimaru's eyes suddenly widen in realization and shock, as he had figured out who the Raikage really was. Impossible, it can't be you, it's not possible, you're dead. At this the Raikage sneered, I afraid the rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated, as I am clearly alive and well. Upon hearing this the Mizukage, Shinran, Doku and the Tsuchikage turned to look at Orochimaru. Orochimaru, you know him? Asked Doku in confusion, as clearly Orochimaru knew the Raikage. Yes, in a way, replied Orochimaru in angry confusion and disbelief as he silent cursed himself for being so blind and not seeing it long ago, as well as angry at being duped so easily. What do you mean in a way? Do you know him or not? Asked Shinran angrily as he wanted answers like most of the people who were watching this altercation. But before Orochimaru could answer Shinran, the Raikage answered for him, allow me to answer that question for you, Shinran-san. For you see, Orochimaru did know me long ago when I was younger, although he did not know of my true heritage, where like most people he looked down on me like I was not worth noticing, believing I was worthless. But as he knows now, it was grave error on his part, but still allow me to reintroduce myself. My real name is Uzumaki Naruto, Rokudaime Raikage of New Kumogakur, also known as Kami no Raiden, god of thunder and lightning and current container of the Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Yoko. Son of the Konoha no Shinku Akari, Konoha's Crimson Fury, Uzumaki Kushina and Namikaze Minato, Yondaime Hokage of Konohagakure, also known as Konoha no Kiroi Senko, Konoha's Yellow Flash. With the observing group upon hearing this, everyone that had not realized the Raikage's identity was shocked beyond all words. As to say the Konoha and Suna groups were shocked, would be like saying that Jiraiya was only a little perverted, as the word shock did not even come close to describing how they were feeling right now. The reaction among everyone else was very much similar, although there were some reactions that were noteworthy. Naruto, he's alive, cried in disbelief Kiba, who like everyone was utterly stunned beyond words. Naruto-kun lives and is the Raikage, cried an utterly shocked Lee. The Raikage is the Kyubi Jinchuriki that was said to have been killed by the Akatsuki 9 years ago, spoke Ryoku shock. Oiban, boss, said Konohamaru, with tears in his eyes as he finally realized that his older brother figure was alive and in front of him. Where he didn't know whether to be happy that he was alive or be angry that he let them all think he was dead, although he was more happy than angry. Mogi and Udon were also equally overjoyed to see that the boss was alive, much like Konohamaru. Naruto, muttered an utterly stunned Sakura as she still could not believe that Naruto alive and was the Raikage of all people. Naruto-kun, thought Hinata as tears of joy started to fall from her eyes, as she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Naruto was alive and was the Raikage. She also could not help wondered if this was some kind of dream, where Naruto was somehow alive, but yet she knew it wasn't, it was real. Naruto was alive and in front of her. Naruto is the son of Kushina-sama, but how? I knew they had the same last name, but the books I read about her stated that she had no children, or other living relatives, thought Tenten, for when she first met Naruto and heard his last name, she had thought he had some blood relation to Uzumaki Kushina. But all the books she had read about her told Tenten that she had none, although she had read that Uzumaki had been a fairly common name in Azu no Kuni, Whirlpool Country, the country that Uzumaki Kushina was originally from. Hence then Tenten had always believed that Naruto's was just the child of refugees that came from Azu no Kuni to Konoha, after Azu no Kuni and Azushiogakur, the village hidden among whirling tides, were destroyed in the Third Great Shinobi World War. Jiraiya, is what Naruto said true? Is he really Sensei's son? Please tell me it isn't, spoke Kakashi, for even though was overjoyed at the fact that his former student was alive and was as shocked as everyone was, that he was the legendary Raikage, he still needed to know the truth. At this Jiraiya lowered his head, where no one could see his eyes, and simply said, it's true. Upon hearing this, a pained look came across Kakashi's face, after which a look of shame and self-loathing appeared on it, although no one could see it due to his mask. It was hard enough for him knowing the fact that he had failed Naruto as his sensei. Where he had turned his back on Naruto and focused most his time on Sasuke and not enough on Naruto. Believing that Sasuke was in need of more attention than Naruto, but with the fact of learning that Naruto was his sensei's son, the man who trained him and who he owed so much to, was enough to make Kakashi feel like committing seppuku. As he had turned his back on Naruto, his student, his comrade, his teammate and his sensei's son and legacy, as well as disgracing everything that his father had once stood for. Sensei, please forgive me, I've been a blind utter fool, thought Kakashi as he was on the verge of falling to his knees and cry at his own shame and how he disgraced. Kakashi wasn't the only one that had taken the news of Naruto's lineage hard, the other was Hiashi, who had been friends with the former Hokage in their youth, as the fact of learning that he had helped banish his friend's only son was yet another entry to Hiashi's long list of failings and disgraces. Uzumaki, you truly are the most unpredictable and surprising person I have ever met, thought Gaara with a slight smile at seeing his friend and fellow Jinchuriki alive, after he got over the shock that Naruto was alive and was the Raikage. The only real person among the observing group that did not take well to Naruto being alive was Sasuke, the dope alive. And is the Raikage, but how on earth did he gain such incredible power? It's just not possible, he thought with anger and confusion. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the others as all the non-new Kumo people were gawking at the fact that Naruto was alive and was the Raikage, Orochimaru quickly regained himself and smirked sinisterly as if he wasn't worried at the fact that Naruto was the Raikage. Well, Naruto-kun, so you're the Rokudaime Raikage, I have to say you never cease to surprise me, as I was certain the Akatsuki had finally caught you and extracted the Kyuubi from you. But it seems despite your new rank you're still the same naive young fool I met before, who likes playing the hero for Konoha despite after what they've done to you, you must be a glutton for punishment. As one would think that after they banished you from the village, you would have left Konoha to be destroyed instead of saving it, spoke Orochimaru with amused smirk. Naruto of course responded to Orochimaru's remark with his own smirk and replied, weren't you listening to me earlier, Heavy Team? I don't care what happens to Konoha, I came here to protect my real home New Kumo and the Heavenly Alliance, as I know your plans to attack it after you had dealt with Konoha and Suna. Upon hearing this, many of the Konoha members of the group were shocked to hear this, as they never expected Naruto to say that he no longer cared for Konoha. But they quickly realized that none of them could blame him for feeling this way, since Konoha had indeed betrayed him when they banished him. The only question was, if he no longer cared about Konoha, did he also no longer care what happened to them as well? Enough of all this drabble, it's time for you to die, bastard child of the Yondaime, cried Ryoku as he charged forward and cried out, "Iwa no Yoroi, stone armor." Where Ryoku encased his body in stone and the charged forward at Naruto with his right fist forward. Within seconds the Tsuchikage crossed the gap between them, as the Iwa no Yoroi had not affected Ryoku's speed, in the least. Just as Ryoku sent his fist forward to hit Naruto, Naruto blocked his punch with his right arm with little trouble or even being forced back by the punch, much to Ryoku's surprise, but how? His arm should have been shattered from that hit, he thought, as with his Iwa no Yoroi, Ryoku's already great strength was greatly enhanced further. But as he wondered this, both he and the others quickly realized how he did it, as Naruto's arm was glowing bright blue, showing that Naruto was covering it with a massive amount of chakra. With the observing group, how did Naruto-san block that attack like that? There's no possible way he could have blocked that attack with just his arm, spoke Yamato. As he remembered fighting an enemy shinobi capable of using that technique, hence he knew how much it would enhance a user's strength. Yay, and why is his arm glowing blue? Asked Kiba. He used his chakra, stated Jiraiya with a slight frown. What do you mean by that, Jiraiya-sama? Asked Choji, not getting what Jiraiya meant. When someone like Naruto is naturally born with high amount of chakra, they don't have much control over it, but over time with the right training they gain better control over it. But even still it's very hard for them to be able to do simple techniques that only require very small amounts of chakra, but easy when doing techniques that require large amounts of chakra and can remain unaffected by them. The technique Naruto is using is a very old technique created for people like Naruto, with a large chakra reserve, where they can harden their chakra around their bodies to act as a barrier or armor, if you will, to reduce the impact of attacks on them, if not negating them completely, said Jiraiya, shocking many people of hearing of such a technique. Tsunade of course nodded her head in agreement. I've heard of it as well, as it is said it takes a massive amount of chakra given how it's strong enough to be seen and take the damage, and it takes a great deal of control to use it. But still, I've never actually seen anyone use before, especially not without having some heavy side effects after releasing that much chakra, spoke Tsunade. After blocking Ryoku's attack, the others watched Naruto then disappeared in a bright blue flash and reappeared in midair in front of Ryoku, with lightning around his leg, and did a quick midair spin kick that sent Ryoku flying backwards to a building behind him and at the same time cracking his stone armor. Was that lightning Raikage no Yoroi, lightning release armor? Asked Kakashi when he saw Naruto's leg with lightning around it. No, it wasn't, spoke Yugito. What was it then? Asked Tenten. It was a technique called Raikage, Thunder Fist, that the Raikage learned from one of our shinobis that allow a user to enhance his speed and strength greatly and go far beyond his normal limits. By using his lightning chakra to enhance it and doesn't require as much chakra as Raikage no Yoroi does, replied Yugito, surprising many. So it basically like Tsunade-sama superhuman technique, spoke Sakura. In a way yes, replied the new Kumo Kunoiki, and what exactly does one have to do to be able to do such a technique, inquired Sasuke, as a technique like that he could very useful to him. Wouldn't you like to know, Uchiha, sneered Yugito as she knew why Sasuke had asked her that, not to mention she had a strong dislike of the Uchiha like the rest of Naruto wives, due to the fact that the man tried to kill the man they loved when he was trying to save him. Upon hearing Yugito's reply, Sasuke narrowed his eyes, but said nothing and continued to watch Naruto fight, to see how strong his former teammate had really become. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the others after Naruto sent the Tsuchikage flying across into another building, the Mizukage decided to try and take advantage of Naruto having his back turned and fired a powerful spiraling water attack from his hand and cried out, Suten, Hahanru, water style, tearing torrent. But when the water hit Naruto, he turned into a puff of smoke, revealing him to be Kage Bushin, shadow clone. By the time he realized that the Naruto he had hit was a Kage Bushin, the real Naruto appeared in front of him with lightning around his fist and smashed it into Shiro's face, where like the Tsuchikage he was sent flying into another building nearby. After sending the Mizukage flying, Naruto then quickly dodged several poison-tipped kunai thrown at him by Doku, who then summoned a poison Tanto blade from a storage seal tattooed on his arm and charged Naruto with it. The poison that coated the blade was a special poison that was able to sever the brain signals controlling the neural impulses for movement in the limbs of the victim, regardless of where they were struck. But unlike regular paralysis poisons, the pain receptors and nerve endings were unaffected by the weapon, so the victim could still feel pain, even in a paralyzed limb. But despite Doku's best efforts, Naruto was easily able to dodge his attacks with his superior speed, which was until Doku used a one-handed hand seal to create Doton, Doru Tiger Earth style, Earth Flow River, causing a river of mud to appear underneath Naruto and throw him off balance, giving Doku the chance to slash Naruto on both his arms and his right leg, leaving Naruto's arms useless and kneeling on his left leg. Don't bother trying to move Raikage. The poison on my Tanto is a special mixture I had planned to use on the Hokage, where it severs the brain signals controlling the neural impulses for movement in the limbs of my victim, regardless what I slash. But unlike regular parallelizing drugs, this one allows you still feel pain, gloated Doku, believing he had Naruto. But his gloating quickly ended, when Naruto suddenly smirked, where he then disappeared and reappeared in front of Doku, and punched him in the gut, making the man keel over slightly and drop his Tanto. I am impossible, how did yo, said Doku in pain but was interrupted by Naruto. Clearly you've either forgotten or were never informed of my second bloodline special ability. When Doku heard this, he suddenly remembered during one of the meetings he and the others had with Orochimaru, where Orochimaru mentioned how the Raikage was a dual bloodline holder and had a bloodline called the Shinju Kokai, body renewal, which allows the holder to survive any otherwise normally fatal damage and instantly heal from the damage, as well as allows the user to be extraordinarily resistant to diseases, drugs, and toxins where they would be virtually useless against him, as he would recover from them quickly. Upon realizing this, Doku cursed himself for being so stupid, forgetting something so important, but before he could continue on with curing himself, Naruto gave him a swift kick to the face, sending him across the other end of the roof. Where as soon as he did, Shinran came at him with his katana and was about to sever Naruto's head off, but just before he could, Naruto quickly took out a simple wooden sword handle, one where he quickly held it up against Shinran's katana where it blocked his attack, much to the surprise of everyone. Since no blade came out of the sword handle, where to everyone, it seemed as if there was some kind of invisible blade was blocking Shinran's katana. Deciding to try and figure out what was going on, Sasuke activated his Sharingan, while Kakashi uncovered his own. When they used their Sharingans, they saw that there was indeed a blade coming out of the sword handle, an invisible blade of wind. When Kakashi told the others this, many of them were naturally surprised by this, especially Temari, as she knew the level of mastery and amount of control over wind chakra it took to use such a technique. As wind attacks like her sensei Baki's Kei's no Yaiba blade of wind took a great deal of control over wind ninjutsu to use, but attacks like that only create wind blades that would last only a few seconds and attack in a gust of wind. Naruto's wind blade was far more refined, where he actually created a solid invisible blade of wind in a shape of a blade with no blade tip or kunai blade tip to channel and enhance it through. The only thing he used was a sword handle to channel his wind chakra through and used it as a conductor. So to help form the wind blade shape, where he could also maintain it and use it in a fight such as this. Temari herself had to admire Naruto's skill in wind ninjutsu, as her sensei Baki had tried himself to follow a similar line as Naruto had and create a solid sword of wind. As he knew how valuable an invisible sword of wind would be in combat, as the enemy would be unable to see how long the blade was and would find it hard to dodge it, as well as blocking it in a fight, as it would cut through most things, but all of her sensei's attempts in creating it had failed. When Naruto blocked Shinran's attack, he then started to push Shinran back, while at the same time cutting Shinran's katana in two. Seeing his katana being cut, Shinran quickly jumped away from being cut in two himself, but as he did, Naruto made a diagonal slash at him, which he was able to avoid. Although he did have a slash cut on his breastplate armor, as his armor had narrowly protected him from any harm from the blade of Naruto's wind sword. Throwing away his broken katana, and deciding to go for something else, Shinran quickly did a few quick set of hand seals and then cried, Raiten, Shidin, lightning style, violet lightning. And unleashed a massive charge of lightning from his hand that formed a wide blast aimed at Naruto. Naruto of course quickly countered with a signal one-handed hand seal and cried out, Futon, Fuheiki, wind style, wind wall. Where as soon as the massive blast of lightning was about to hit Naruto, it suddenly hit an invisible barrier that everyone quickly realized was a wall of wind. Not to be deterred, Shinran quickly appeared to the left side of Naruto doing several more hand seals and cried out, Raiten, Rairu, lightning style, lightning dragon. Sending a massive dragon made out of lightning at Naruto, who quickly summoned several shurikens from a storage seal tattooed under his wrist and channeled a large amount of wind chakra into them. After which, he then threw them at the lightning dragon coming at him, where the wind-enhanced shurikens were increased in length and density, along with their cutting power, thanks to the wind chakra that Naruto channeled into them, and took the shape of large Fuma shurikens. The wind-enhanced shurikens quickly cut through the lightning dragon with ease, thanks to wind being strong against lightning, where it then dissipated, due to it being cut up. Shinran quickly used a Kawarimi no Jutsu body replacement technique to replace himself with a large piece of rubble, which was cut up by the wind-enhanced shurikens Naruto threw. But as soon as he reappeared, Naruto appeared underneath him and delivered a sharp kick to the chin, almost identical to Lian Gai's Konoha Shofu, Leaf Rising Wind, and sending Shinran into the air. After which Naruto disappeared in a bright blue flash and reappeared above Shinran and delivered a sharp falling axe kick and sent him crashing to the roof, where he made a large dent in the roof floor and cracking several ribs. But as soon as Naruto landed on the roof again, he suddenly felt a stab in his back from a kunai, where when he looked behind him he saw Orochimaru standing behind him smirking, and holding the kunai that was stabbed in his back. The third rule of being a shinobi, Naruto-kun, expected the unexpected, spoke a smirking Orochimaru, although he quickly stopped smirking when he saw a smile on Naruto's face as well. Maybe you should follow your own advice, spoke Naruto, after which he then blew up. Fortunately though for Orochimaru, he was able to move out of the way in time before he could be seriously hurt. Bunshin Daibaku, clone great explosion. When did he learn the technique? He thought as he moved out of the smoke-filled area of the explosion. But as soon as he did, he found Naruto coming at him with his wind sword and slicing off one of his arms with it, causing the snake Sannin to cry out in pain before he shunshined body flicker to the opposite end of the roof where Naruto was. After reappearing at the other end of the roof, Orochimaru then opened up his mouth to an impossible width where, much to the disgust of the observers, a new Orochimaru with both arms and no injuries regurgitate out of the old Orochimaru, much like a snake shedding his old skin, while the old Orochimaru feel like dead skin. After renewing himself, Orochimaru was then joined by his allies, who were still in relatively good fighting condition, as Ryokuzewa no Yoroi had kept him from suffering any major harm despite being broken by Naruto's lightning-enhanced kick. Shiro was also in good enough condition, as just when Naruto was about to punch him with his lightning-enhanced fist, he had used his Mizu no Yoroi water armor D to cover himself in a thick layer of water. So to reduce the damage of Naruto's attack, although was a bit sizzled due to it was a lightning attack, he was hit and water conducts lightning. Doku and Shinran were also in fairly good fighting condition, despite the minor injuries they had suffered from fighting Naruto one-on-one. With the observing group, well, looks like round 1 goes to Naruto, commented Jiraiya, although that was only the opening fight, as none of them were being serious or going all out. At this, many of the others watching the fight nodded their heads in agreement, as they knew this as well. But even still the odds are against Naruto, as it's 5-1, with 3 of them being cage level and the other 2 being high jonin level, spoke Tsunade. Then we should stop staring and go and help him, cried Konohamaru, as he was about to call Enma and have him change into his Kongonyo adamantine staff form. But before he could, someone put their hand on his shoulder and stopped him from going. When Konohamaru turned around, he saw it was Killer Bee who stopped him. Yo, a squirt better stay back in yo place or yo liable wind up dead, spoke Killer Bee. Like the hell I going to stay here and do nothing but watch? I'm going to help Ni-san, rounded Konohamaru and tried to get out of Killer Bee's grip, but it was too tight. I suggest you listen to Killer Bee-san, Konohamaru-san, as he is right, you would only get in the way and get killed, spoke Zhuge Liang. Don't talk to me like I'm some little kid, I'm more than strong enough to help Ni-san, replied Konohamaru. Maybe so, but the Raikage doesn't require your help, replied Fu. Then why don't you guys help, as aren't you guys supposed to be his bodyguards, replied Kiba. The very young and brave rush into battle head-on, when they need not to, while the wise wait patiently until the time is right and they are needed, spoke Zhuge Liang suddenly. And what's that supposed to mean? Growled Konohamaru angrily. He means that if we rush off into a fight like that, we just get in the way. The best thing we can do is wait and watch and see if he does need us, although I doubt he will, replied Yugito. How can you say that? You can see what Naruto is up against. As strong as he is, even he can't go against 3 cage-level shinobi along with 2 high jonin-level shinobis by himself. He needs help, said Tsunade angrily. The Rokudaime does not need our help, for as Jiraiya-san said, this fight has yet to truly start, as both the Rokudaime and his opponents have only been testing one another. Once the Rokudaime has become serious, Orochimaru and the others will stand little chance against him, spoke Okatsu. You can't be serious, stated Sakura, as like the others she found it hard to believe that Naruto would be that strong. Should have you fools and tools and watch and see, this fight gonna get poppin' a whole nona level, spoke Killer Bee suddenly as he pointed towards Naruto, where the other quickly turned to watch. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the others, it seems that you will not make this easy, will you, Naruto-kun, spoke Orochimaru with a sickening smirk, as he and the others decided that they should now attack together at same time. You know me, heavy team, I never do things the easy way, replied Naruto, with his own little smirk. Indeed, but still you stand no chance against all 5 of us at once, said Orochimaru. Oh, I wouldn't be so sure of that, Orochimaru, as I haven't even gotten serious yet, said Naruto. Who do you think you're speaking to, boy? Sneered Ryoku. Don't speak out of your league, you may be strong, but you're nowhere near strong enough to take on all 5 of us by yourself. Well then let's just see, once I'm fully powered up, sneered Naruto as he then fell into a horse stance. DBZ Super Saiyan 3 theme. As soon as Naruto fell into his horse stance, he began to summon his chakra. Quickly his chakra started to rise up as it began to surround him and form around him as it continued to grow and grow more and more. Soon enough the storm clouds above them started to grow darker, the wind started to blow stronger and the lightning in the sky became fiercer. On board the Raikage personal airship, Commander Lu Xun, sir, the storm outside is becoming fiercer and the other ships are reporting difficulty in controlling themselves in the air, as are the Skyhawk ninjas. Knowing that storm was becoming stronger because of Naruto charging up to fully power, Lu Xun knew what to do. Lieutenant, order all Skyhawk ninjas to land on the village and assist our forces on the ground and have all our ships fall back outside the village, ordered Lu Xun. Sir, asked the confused lieutenant. The Raikage is powering up, that's why the storm is become stronger, and if we don't get our ships out of this area then we will be brought down by the storm, and so will our Skyhawk ninjas if they don't land quickly, spoke Lu Xun. At this the young lieutenant paled slightly as he had heard the stories of what kind of damage the Raikage could do when powering up or fully powered up, after which he then quickly began doing what Lu Xun ordered him to do. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the others, as Naruto continued to power up, his power grew higher and higher, while the storm in the sky became fiercer and fiercer. As Naruto power grew, the more concerned Orochimaru and the others grew, as they had not predicted that Naruto would be this strong, and yet his power was still growing more and more with each passing second. How is this possible? It's clearly not the Kyuubi's power. So how can he have this much power? And how did he get such power even if he has the Ranbaka Stormbreaker limit? Thought Orochimaru with concern and some fear at the power that he was feeling and seeing coming from Naruto. With the observing group as Naruto was powering up, none of the non-new Kumo observers could believe the power that Naruto was releasing, and it just seemed to continue on and on. I knew the kid had high chakra levels, but still. How can he have this much power without using any of the Kyuubis? Spoke Jiraiya out loud as he couldn't sense any of the Kyuubi's power coming from Naruto. I know, I didn't think power levels like this were possible, yet it just kept growing, said Tsunade. Naruto, is this really you? Thought Sakura in awe of Naruto growing power. You've grown, Naruto, thought Kakashi in astonishment at Naruto already great power that just seemed to grow more and more. He then quickly uncovered his Sharingan eye, for although he could not see the chakra inside Naruto's body, he could watch his chakra that he continued to release and continued growing. Sasuke, Hanbi, Hiashi, Neji and Hinata also followed suit with Kakashi's line of thought as they watched with their own doujutsus. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the others, how the hell is this even possible? Cried Shiro as sweat started pouring down his face, as he had never felt power like this, as Naruto power level were already far higher than his own. I don't know, cried Doku in disbelief. Orochimaru, we have to kill him now while we still can. If he keeps like this we won't be able to stop him, spoke Shinran. As he was well beyond being worried at Naruto's growing power, as his chakra was so strong it was clearly visible and was swirling around him like a growing tornado. Agreed, we need to hit him all at once, spoke Orochimaru, as the others quickly nodded their heads, where they quickly began forming seals for their jutsus. Doten, Doryuden Earth Style, Earth Dragon Bullet, cried Ryoku. Suten, Sukoden no Jutsu Water Style, Water Shark Missile Technique, cried Shiro. Sandaban, Thunderburn, cried Shinran. Kaiten, Zukoku Fire Style, Intelligent Hard Work, cried Doku. Kyoryoku no Fuha Powerful Wind Wave, cried Orochimaru. The 5 attacks quickly flew towards the powering-up Naruto, who couldn't move due to powering up with great speed. When the others saw the attacks heading towards him, some shouted out to Naruto, warning him and telling him to move. Naruto, shouted Tsunade. Naruto-kun, cried Hinata, fearing for his safety. Move, Naruto, cried Sakura. Get out of the way, you idiot, cried Kiba. But Naruto didn't move. He even smiled slightly as he saw the attack coming at him. Within seconds they hit Naruto, and exploded, destroying parts of the roof and forcing Orochimaru and the others leaders of the coalition to jump away to another rooftop. Before any of them could even gloat about killing Naruto, they quickly realized that they were still sensing Naruto power, which was still growing, where as soon as the smoke from the explosion was blown away they saw Naruto, still powering up, with his chakra still growing higher and higher. Is that all you guys got? Asked Naruto with a slight smirk. As he continued powering up, which infuriated the anti-Konoha coalition leaders. Because you should know I'm only warming up, said Naruto, where he then started channeling even more chakra than before, causing the wind and lightning become even stronger as well. After which Naruto power started to explode outward, where a massive pillar of raw chakra that reached up into the sky was being released and was still growing in strength. Orochimaru and the other, along with Tsunade, Jiraiya and those watching quickly had to channel their chakra to their feet, to keep from being blown off the roofs they were on, as the power that Naruto was releasing along with the shock wave was threatening to blow them off the roofs. As they watched Naruto power, they still could not believe that all this power was coming from one person. Soon enough the building that Naruto was on was starting to shake and fall apart from the chakra Naruto was releasing. But that wasn't the only thing that was shaking, as all the buildings in the village were beginning to shake from Naruto power being released. With the observing group, this has gone way beyond cage level, cried Tsunade with disbelief, as she covered her eyes from the wind. I know. It's insane, cried Jiraiya over the howling wind that was being caused by Naruto releasing his power. Man, Naruto. Hardcore, said Kiba in awe of Naruto power. Incredible, said Kakashi as he watched Naruto power grow, before he cried up in pain, as did Sasuke, Hanabi, Hinata, Neji and Hiashi, as they all held their eyes in pain, before they deactivated the dojutsus. Hinata, are you alright? Said a worried Kurenai as she went over to Hinata. I'm fine, Kurenai-sensei, it just Naruto-kun's chakra, it's so strong and bright that it blinded me, replied Hinata as she was still seeing spots from the brightness of Naruto's chakra. The same thing happened to all of us all. I've never seen so much chakra come from one person, spoke Hiashi as he rubbed his eyes. How can he have that much power? Commented astonished Hanabi. I know, it's mind-boggling, stated Neji, who was just as astounded at the power Naruto was releasing as was Hanabi and everyone else there. Shino himself could not also believe the power he was seeing and sensing from Naruto, as his Kikaichu were moving around his body like headless chickens, as they were completely overloaded by the chakra they were sensing from Naruto. With the rest of the village all around the village, the fighting between the two sides halted as they all saw the buildings in the village beginning to shake from Naruto's power, as well as feeling his still increasing power, along with seeing the massive pillar of raw chakra coming from where Naruto was. No one dared move a muscle, as they were all completely overwhelmed at the sheer power they were all feeling at the moment. All around the village, any windows or glass objects that had not been broken from the fighting in the village started to crack and break from the power that was emanating from Naruto. The new Kumo shinobis of course knew who this power belonged to, where the older and more senior shinobis who had fought with Naruto during the Great Civil War smiled with pride at the Raikage. While the more younger and more recent new Kumo shinobis were frozen with awe, as they had all heard stories of Naruto's power during the Civil War, but had never seen it or felt it before. Many could not believe that their Raikage was this powerful. The Konoha, Suna and Tsuchigamo clan shinobis were all equally awed and amazed, as none of them had felt power like this before in their lives, as it felt almost godlike. Many already knew that it had to come from the Raikage, as they knew Jiraiya, Gaara and Tsunade did not have this kind of power, nor did Orochimaru or his allies. After which once again the Konoha, Suna and Tsuchigamo clan shinobis were thanking their lucky stars that the Raikage and new Kumo were on their side in the war. Upon feeling and seeing Naruto's power, the Kusagaku, Hidden Grass, and the Hanyu clan shinobis were in a state of confusion, as many didn't know what to do when they felt Naruto's growing power. Many wanted to retreat knowing they would stand no chance against such power, while others didn't want to, fearing what would happen to them if their leaders found out they had retreated in face of the enemy. When the Oto forces felt and saw Naruto's power, many were already on the verge of retreating, But they did not, as they knew the price of retreating without Orochimaru's orders. The Iwa shinobis were still holding their own, but when they felt Naruto's power their morale was starting to decrease, and with being attacked by the Konoha defenders in front and the new Kumo shinobis from behind they were beginning to lose their belief in winning this war, as more and more of them fell, and as the battle went on the more they were being forced back on both sides and being squashed together by the two forces. This power, who can be generating this much power? Thought Berigu in disbelief as he knew it wasn't his father nor his allies as none of them were this powerful and he knew it wasn't the Hokage or Jiraiya as they weren't this powerful either. He also knew it couldn't be the Kazekage, as even though he was a Jinchuriki he didn't feeling any of the type of chakra that would come from a Biju. Could it be the Raikage? No, it's not possible, no single person could have this much power, he thought furiously, after which an Iwa shinobi appeared next to him. Sir, our forces are being decimated, our shinobis are losing the will to fight and we're losing ground. I suggest that we call a retreat before any chance of escape becomes impossible, and we become completely surrounded and cut off from retreat by the new Kumo forces, and the Konoha defenders, spoke Iwa shinobi. Retreat! Shouted Berigu furiously, are you mad? We have Konoha by the neck and victory is within our grasp and you want us to retreat, he cried. But sir, we fighting enemies on two sides and we're losing more and more shinobis by the minute and the Raikages, said the Iwa shinobi but was interrupted by Berigu. The Raikage. I'll tell you here and now that this power is not the Raikage's, it is some kind of trick as no one can have that much power, and I will not allow any cowards to disgrace our village and let Konoha humiliate us again in battle. I don't care how many shinobis we lose, we will not let Konoha beat us again nor will we let new Kumo, we will hold our ground till the last man, cried Berigu at the Iwa shinobi. Before he then took off to retake command of his forces. When the Kirigakure hidden mist shinobis felt Naruto's power and saw the pillar of chakra go up into the sky, the shinobis quickly began to panic, as they all knew that the power they were feeling belonged to the Raikage aka Naruto, as they had all heard stories from the survivors of those who had witnessed his power. It's the Raikage, spoke a frightened Kiri-nin. How can you know? Asked another Kiri-nin. Who else could have that much power other than him? Besides, who else would be leading his forces here and who do you think created this storm? Rounded the first Kiri-nin. What should we do? Asked a different Kiri-nin. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I getting out of here, replied a fourth Kiri-nin. I'm with you, spoke the first Kiri-nin. But what about the Mizukage? Spoke the second Kiri-nin. Fuck him, besides I always hated the bastard, the Raikage can kill him for all I care, and good riddance to him. The only reason I'm here is because he killed my family if I didn't, and I want to see them again, so I'm not going to stay here and die for that bastard, spoke the first Kiri-nin. He's right, we don't stand a chance against power like that, so let's get out of here, said the fourth Kiri-nin as he and the other Kiri-nin took off to get out of Konoha as quickly as possible. Soon enough the Kiri line along with the Shark Nins fighting below the Hokage monument completely fell apart as hundreds of Kiri shinobis along with many Shark Nins retreated and made a breakout to escape from Konoha. Those that could not escape quickly surrendered to the new Kumo, Konoha, Suna and Tsuchigamo clan shinobis without any resistance. After which the now free forces on the eastern side of Konoha along with the forces fighting below the Hokage monument quickly turned around and moved on to the other fronts and started to drive the enemy out of Konoha. In the Konoha's hospital Iruka was sitting down on a chair as a young medic nin looked at his injury, while Anko stood next to him. As the medic nin began healing him, he suddenly stopped when he felt Naruto's massive chakra and was looking out the nearby window and towards the source of the chakra. Upon feeling the powerful surge of chakra, many others in the hospital, both medic nins and patients, were wide-eyed as none of the non-new Kumo shinobis had felt anything like this before. After feeling the powerful surge of chakra, both Anko and Iruka were wide-eyed and were looking out in the same direction as the medic nin, as neither felt chakra as powerful and as large as this before. But as surprised as Anko was after feeling this power, Iruka was utterly flabbergasted as he recognized the chakra signature, and it was one that he never thought he'd sense again. Holy shit! Where is all this power coming from? Spoke Anko in complete shock. It's the Raikages, stated the young medic nin, who was still staring out the window and at the large pillar of chakra that reached up to the sky. The Raikage, said Anko, but that's impossible, no one person can generate that much chakra, it's inhuman, as she could not believe that the Raikage was this powerful, even if all the stories about him were true, it was simply impossible. I can assure you it is, even though this is my first time seeing and sensing it. I have heard stories from my comrades who have, and the description all match this, stated the young medic Nin. Although to be true, the medic Nins found the words of his comrades did not do the Raikage's power justice, as this was beyond anything he had imaged, as it felt almost divine-like. At this Anko just gaped, as she still had trouble believing it. Iruka just continued to stare out the window towards the pillar of chakra, with her expressionless look on his face, as he didn't know what to think or feel. Naruto, CC, could it really be you? No, it's no possible, it can't be. We found his blood and coat, but we never found his body. But still it not possible, even if he was alive there no way he could have become this strong. But this chakra it the same as Naruto's, it can't be anyone else. Naruto, can it really be you? Can you actually be still alive? Can you really be the Raikage? Thought Iruka, as he argued with himself, as he still found it hard to accept that Naruto still could be alive and be the Raikage. Naruto, though Iruka again. With Suafon and Gurren. After much battling with one another, both Suafon and Gurren had jumped away from one another to analysis each other condition. Both had some torn clothing and some cuts, but Gurren was bleeding a bit more and was panting more as well, as she had been fighting with Yamato for a while earlier, while Suafon was still relatively fresh. Also as well, Suafon had several other advantages over Gurren, such as she was much faster than Gurren, and on more than one occasion Gurren had lost sight of her, allowing Suafon to sneak up on her and nearly kill her or knock her out. Although luckily Gurren was able to block or dodge her attacks just in time, but it had not been easy. Suafon also had the advantage of her lightning affinity, which was strong against her Shoten crystal release, and could easily cut, precise or break through her crystal jutsus. As they studied each other for any weakness, they soon felt Naruto's rising chakra, as well as saw the massive pillar of chakra that was reaching up into the sky. What is that? Spoke Gurren out loud. That would be my husband, powering up to kill your master. He can be an idiot at times, but when in battle he is virtually unstoppable, replied Suafon with a cold smirk. Husband? You're his wife, said a shocked Gurren. One of them, but that's beside the point, as your master is about to be sent on a one-way trip to hell, along with his associates by Naruto-kun, spoke Suafon. That will never happen. Orochimaru-sama can never die, cried Gurren angrily. We'll see soon enough, said Suafon with another cold smirk before the two of them recommenced their fight. With Mitsuhide and Kabuto. Currently Kabuto was a few feet away from Mitsuhide, with several large wounds around him, and was panting quite heavily. His battle with Mitsuhide had not been going as well as he had hoped it would, as it was a completely one-sided battle with Kabuto on the losing end, as he couldn't get a solid hit on the man, solidifying that he was indeed worthy of his infamous reputation as a dangerous and deadly shinobi. Every time Kabuto tried to attack, Mitsuhide would block or dodge him and then counterattack. He was also much faster than Kabuto, making him hard to keep track of, and thanks to his Takugan Hawkeye, he was able to easily keep track of Kabuto movements and see the weakness of his attacks. Done already. I would have expected more from the right-hand man of Orochimaru, spoke Mitsuhide, but despite the remark Kabuto did not take the bait, as he was not about to fall for the same kind of tricks he himself played on others. By playing on their emotions and pride and making them lose focus in battle so that they would be easier to defeat. But even still Kabuto knew that it was doubtful that he could beat Mitsuhide, as Mitsuhide never wasted a single movement. He remained calm and collective the entire time, and any attack he made was done with the utmost precision and skill. Kabuto knew the best chance he had of surviving this fight was to make a quick escape, but the problem was that it was unlikely that Mitsuhide would just let him go, and it was highly unlikely he could escape, as Mitsuhide had been the head of Kiri's Oinen division when he was only 13, meaning that he could easily track down or simply kill Kabuto with little trouble if he tried to run off. As Kabuto was contemplating his options in what he should do, he suddenly felt a massive surge of chakra, after which he then turned to where he knew Orochimaru and the others were fighting and saw the massive pillar of chakra. As soon as Kabuto felt the massive chakra that was felt all over the village, he quickly recognized it as the Raikage's chakra. But even though he recognized it, he still could not believe that all this power was coming from one man, even one as powerful as the Raikage. Amazing, isn't it? Stated Mitsuhide, causing Kabuto to turn to him. Even though I have seen him fight at full power on a few occasions, it never ceases to amaze me at the level of power he has. Power isn't everything, as the strongest shinobis doesn't assure victory, often enough the most cunning fighter wins, replied Kabuto as he was still confident that Orochimaru and the others could win, although there was a look of worry on his face as well. True perhaps, but just as often, the one who wants the victory the most will win, spoke Mitsuhide, but still I think it's about time we finish this. After which he fell into a quick sword stance and prepared to attack, while Kabuto prepared his curved kunai and prepared to defend himself. After which the two men soon recommenced their battle, against one another. As Naruto power kept growing, everyone that was nearby him was being pushed back by the wind and the energy of Naruto growing power, despite the fact that they were all using their chakra to keep their feet stuck to the ground. The building he was underneath had now completely broken apart, due to the chakra output he was releasing, where Naruto was now floating in the air and a large crater was forming below him. Due to the chakra he was releasing, the village's buildings were shaking even more than before. All those nearby were eventually blown back a good bit away, as the force of Naruto's power was too much to stay close to. It's unreal, how can he generate that much power, said Shikamaru. It's too much, cried Ino, as the chakra output that Naruto was giving out was beyond anything she had ever felt before. Unbelievable, cried Temari, as she still could not believe that this was the same silly loudmouth blonde she met all those years ago, and could not believe he had become this powerful. What the hell has Naruto been doing? Better yet, what the hell has Zhuge Liang been teaching him? Cried Tsunade. I don't know, but whatever the hell it is, it's worked, answered Jiraiya, as he still could not believe what he was seeing with his own two eyes, as it was beyond anything he had ever felt or seen in his life before. After a few more minutes, the storm above the sky and the shaking of the village's buildings only seemed to be getting worse, as many nearby buildings were falling apart and the crater below Naruto was only getting bigger and deeper. Many people were starting to worry that the power Naruto was realizing was too much. It feels like the whole village is shaking apart. If Naruto doesn't stop this, he destroy the whole village, cried a scared Sakura, as she never dreamed of anyone having this much raw power in her life. Nisan, what have you become? Thought Konohamaru in awe, as he watched Naruto's power grow. Man, Naruto, he's on fire, said Kiba in astonishment. Amazing, muttered a stupefied Kurenai. The flames of youth are exploding from Naruto-kun, cried Lee. Naruto-kun, thought Hinata with awe. As all the other gawked at Naruto's incredible power, there was one person that was looking at him, with anger, rage, jealousy and some small amount of fear. That person was none other than Naruto's former teammate and rival Sasuke. Damn, you Naruto, damn you, thought Sasuke as he gripped his hand tighter with anger and made it bleed, as he looked at Naruto's still growing power, which was now at levels he didn't even think were possible. No matter how far I come, no matter how hard I try, you're always one step ahead of me, laughing in my face. Why won't you leave me alone? Even after all the special training I've done with Kakashi and Danzo, you, still stronger, why you? Why is it always you? What is it that you have that I don't? What is it that makes fortune always smile on you? While I'm left with scrapes, what is it that makes you more special than me? I'm a descendant of the main Uchiha branch clan, while you're a low-talent loser who barely passed, even if you're the Yondaime son and the descendant of some know-nothing clan that lost their bloodline. Why is it that you have all this power while I've nothing, thought Sasuke angrily. As he didn't believe that Naruto was worthy of having such incredible power, while he needed such power so to avenge his clan and family. Naruto didn't even have any real hate, he didn't know what it was like to truly hate a person like he hated Itachi. Yet Naruto had all this power and it made no sense, as it went against everything that Sasuke believed and was taught to believe in by his clan. Damn you Naruto, why you, thought Sasuke angrily. Soon after, the pillar of chakra started to recede, where Naruto was now surrounded by a large sphere of bright blue chakra. The lightning and wind was also begun to surround him and focus on him as if drawn to him. The sphere then began to glow brighter and brighter, where it was clear to everyone that the final build-up was about to be unleashed. They all quickly channeled large amount of chakra to their feet, so that they would be ready for the explosive release of chakra that was to come, when Naruto was finished powering up and would not be blown away by it. And as they suspected, a few seconds later Naruto finished powering up and released his excess chakra in a single massive blast, causing a massive blinding flash of blue light and shock wave, destroying several other buildings near him as well as causing many shinobis that were nearby to be blown away by the blast wave. Somehow though, Orochimaru and his allies along with Zhuge Liang, Tsunade, Jiraiya and others were able to keep themselves stuck to the roof floor of the buildings thereon, which had somehow survived being destroyed. Although when the bright light died down they saw that about 60 yards of the area that was around Naruto had been completely leveled, as all the buildings around him had been destroyed when he released his power. Also as well there was a massive crater in the center of the cleared area. But still that was not what had everyone, including Orochimaru and his allies, frozen in shock, disbelief and wide-eyed. What had them in shock was when they looked up at Naruto, who was still in midair thanks to his special levitating technique too, where when they looked up, Naruto seemed like a completely different person. For when they looked up to him they still couldn't believe what they're seeing, for he seemed to glow bright blue all around his body, as if an aura that covered his entire body, with chakra clearly visible, literally surrounding him. Where everyone could clearly feel the power coming off him like giant tsunami waves and lightning bolts sparking all over his entire body, as if he really was a divine being of thunder and lightning. NDBZ Super Saiyan 3 theme. Soon enough Orochimaru and the other coalition leaders quickly regrouped on the flat area that Naruto had destroyed while powering up, where they then stared up at Naruto. By just looking at him, made everyone's hairs stand on ends at the raw power coming from Naruto. Upon seeing this, some of Orochimaru allies like Doku were actually considering that even if they worked together, the likelihood of beating Naruto were very slim, as he had never felt or seen power like this before. Orochimaru, perhaps we should rethink our plan on attacking the Raikage, and make a tactical retreat and make a new plan to battle him at a later date, said the nervous Doku. Are you trying to run away, Doku, you coward, spoke Ryoku, for although the level of power that he saw and felt coming from Naruto did concern him greatly, he was not about to let his arch-nemesis Saiyan live a day longer. I'm no coward, Ryoku, but we never accounted for the Raikage being here or him being the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi and being this powerful, replied Doku angrily. Even if he's more power than all of us, we're still vastly more experienced and skilled than him and can still overwhelm him, and it's 5-1, we can take him, spoke Shiro, as like Ruko he wasn't going to let the Raikage live to see tomorrow, not after all he had done to him. I have to concur with Shiro-kun and Ryoku-kun, we have come too far to give up now, beside I know this boy and I know how he thinks and fights. Therefore we can still win this battle, despite the immense power he possesses. Both Doku and Shinran frowned at hearing this, as they both had reservation about fighting the Raikage now, especially after the power he showed, but they decided to put him aside and go for it and prepared to fight. Soon enough Naruto slowly came down to ground level in front of Orochimaru and the others and spoke in a calm, cool voice. I'm sorry that took so long, but I haven't powered up to full power in a while, so I hope you're ready to get serious, because I am. With Suafon and Gurren, Shoten, Onowatari no Jutsu crystal release, the God's Crossings technique, cried Gurren as she created a long stream of sharp crystals towards Suafon. Suafon of course countered with her own jutsu and channeled her lightning chakra into the blade point of her gauntlet and thrust it forward, crying out, Sutarakizasu, sting strike. After which a massive blast of lighting erupted from her gauntlet and towards Gurren attack. The two attacks clashed head-on, where Suavon's Sutarakizasu easily destroyed Gurren's crystal attack and continued on towards Gurren, who was narrowly avoided being hit by the attack. Gurren then called her chakra and surrounded herself with crystal particles and condensed them into small crystal shuriken and cried out, Shoten, Shuriken Ranbu crystal release, Shuriken wild dance, where she fired hundreds of small crystal shurikens at Suafon. Seeing the hundreds of crystal shurikens heading towards her, Suafon quickly used her high-speed technique that she learned from Yoruichi and combined it with the Zanzo technique to create a dozen of after-image clones of her. Unable to tell the difference between the clones and the real Suafon, Gurren sent her crystal shurikens at all the Suavon's clones, hoping to hit the real one. Unfortunately though, all the shurikens went through all the Suavons, showing that the real Suafon was not among them. As Gurren looked around looking to where Suafon went, she quickly sensed something coming from above and looked up, to see Suafon coming down towards her with the blade point of her gauntlet once again encased in lightning. After which she then cried out, Razorsu, lightning sting F. Gurren although was once again able to avoid being hit by Suavon's attack by flipping backwards. When Gurren flipped away, Suafon hit the ground and stabbed her hand into it, where she created a small crater with dozens of large cracks around her. Seeing that Suavon's hand was stuck in ground from stabbing it with her Razorsu, Gurren decided to take advantage of her immobility and attack, where she then used her Kesho, Rokaku Shuriken crystal, hexagonal shuriken, to create a few dozen crystal shurikens in the shape of snowflakes. Seeing the shurikens, Swaphon used a quick Kawarimi no Jutsu and replaced herself with a broken piece of wall that was nearby, just as the shurikens were about to hit her. Not to be deterred, Gurren then quickly used her Kesho, Kyodai Rokaku Shuriken Crystal, giant hexagonal shuriken, and created a giant crystal shuriken that resembled a snowflake and threw it at Swaphon when she reappeared. Quickly flipping over the giant crystal shuriken, Swaphon soon realized that Gurren's giant crystal shuriken was just a distraction as she quickly looked up. When she sensed Gurren above her and falling towards her holding a massive crystal lance in her right arm and crying out, Shoten, Kesho no Ransu, crystal release, crystal lance. Swaphon quickly flipped away to avoid being hit, which she narrowly did, where Gurren created a large crater in the ground from her attack, although when she did, Gurren then used her Shoten, Kesho no Hoiru crystal release, crystal wheel and created a crystal wheel around herself and charged forward at Swaphon. As Gurren charged at her with her Kesho no Hoiru, Swaphon power up her Shunko flash cry, where she then charged head-on at Gurren, where when the two attacks collided, a massive explosion erupted. This explosion destroyed several of the surrounding buildings around them and sent both kunoikis flying backwards, fortunately though for both of them. They were able to regain themselves, as they still flew backwards and were able to land on their feet as they skidded on the ground. That attack, thought Gurren, it must be the Shunko technique that she used while battling Jiraiya the Toad Sage, when she and her forces ambushed him at the old Kumo ruins. It's definitely an impressive technique and I can see how she was able to beat Jiraiya with something like that in her arsenal, thought Gurren. As she remembered the reports that Orochimaru's spy informed them, when Jiraiya returned from his intelligence mission in Kaminari no Kuni, Lightning Country. I must say you impressive fighter, it's a shame that you are not with us, for Orochimaru-sama would greatly welcome someone of your skill into Otogaku, spoke Gurren. Funny, I was thinking of the same kind of thing. With you joining us, as new Kumo could always use another powerful kunoiki, but regardless I suggest we finish this, spoke Swaphon, where Gurren nodded in agreement, and charged straight at Swaphon. For the next few minutes the two women engaged in a fierce taijutsu battle, but it soon became clear that Swaphon was winning as she was much stronger and faster than Gurren, not to mention she was more skilled in taijutsu than Gurren was. As Swaphon fought with Gurren she quickly used her Zanzo and created an after-image of herself, where as soon as Gurren hit it and realized what it was, Swaphon reappeared behind her and mutter out, Dokuhari, poison stinger, G, and stabbed Gurren in the back of her poison-tipped gauntlet blade. But instead of piercing Gurren's flesh, Swaphon felt her gauntlet blade hit something hard. Upon noticing this, Swaphon was then punched hard in the gut by Gurren, and was sent flying back several feet away. When Swaphon looked up she saw that Gurren's skin was covered utterly in crystal, as she could see it from the way her skin was reflecting off the light of the sun like crystal. Upon seeing this, Swaphon quickly realized that Gurren had used her Kesho no Yoroi crystal armor to protect herself from her attack. She also quickly realized that not only did the technique protected her from attacks like her Dokuhari, but it also improved Gurren's strength, judging how hard she had hit her. Quickly Gurren charged at Swaphon, using her Kesho no Yoroi to improve her physical strength, but just as she was about to hit her, Swaphon sidestepped Gurren's attack and avoided it and then used her enhanced speed to reappear at the other end of the area. After which she then used her enhanced speed again to charge straight at Gurren and thrusting her gauntlet forward and crying out, Chimatekina no Hari, deadly sting. With Swaphon traveling at such incredible speed, Gurren had no time to avoid Swaphon's attack, where she easily pierced through Gurren's crystal armor. But as soon as she did, Gurren turned into crystal pieces, showing that Gurren had somehow avoided being hit and replaced herself with a crystal clone. After realizing that the Gurren she hit was a clone, Swaphon quickly looked around her, where she quickly found Gurren not far away standing on the top of a ruined wall doing several hand seals where when she finished she then cried out, Shoten, Hasho Kiryu, crystal release, tearing crystal falling dragon. After which, 5 massive pink-colored crystal dragon were created from the material that Gurren had crystallized. Gurren then jumped onto the middle dragon's head and had the other 4 crystal dragons attack Swaphon. Seeing the crystal dragon coming towards her, Swaphon quickly powered up her Shunko again, after which she then charged forward at one of the crystal dragon, where she then gave a powerful punch on the first crystal dragon's head, shattering it completely. After destroying the first dragon, one of the other crystal dragons tried to eat her by opening its jaws, but before it could, Swaphon disappeared and reappeared over it, where she then delivered a powerful falling axe kick down on the crystal dragon and destroying it. With the second crystal dragon destroyed, Swaphon quickly turned around to the third crystal dragon that was coming at her head-on. Seeing this, Swaphon started to channel more of her chakra into her gauntlet and then thrust her hand forward, shouting out Tsutorekizasu, and firing a massive blast of lightning at the crystal dragon, blowing it into pieces with a single hit. After the third crystal dragon was destroyed, the fourth one tried to come up at Swaphon from behind. Knowing this, Swaphon disappeared right before the crystal dragon could hit her. After which she reappeared at its side and delivered a powerful spinning kick, shattering its head and causing the rest of its body to do the same. After the 4 crystal dragons were destroyed, Swaphon turned to the 5th and final dragon that Gurren was on and disappeared again. Knowing what was about to come, Gurren quickly jumped off the crystal dragon she was on, where as soon as she did, Swaphon reappeared over the crystal dragon with her gauntlet thrust forward and crying out Chimatekina no Hari, where she then delivered a powerful stab into the crystal dragon's head, causing it to crack, where the cracks then spread and all over its body, where it then broke apart and fell to pieces like all the rest. With all the crystal dragons destroyed, Swaphon was about to deactivate her Shunko, as it ate up a lot of her chakra, and she had already used it 3 times today, but before she could, she suddenly felt an enormous buildup of chakra coming from above her. I never thought I would have to go this far and use this technique here, but it seems that I have no other choice, so prepare for my strongest attack, spoke Gurren. As she hovered in the air inside a prism of crystal, she then focused her chakra into light through the prism and launches a powerful heat blast at Swaphon, while crying out Shoten, Hishin no Yaro, crystal release, arrow of light. Knowing she had only one other option, Swaphon quickly powered up her Shunko to full strength, and then gathered most of her remaining chakra into her one hand and fired it in one concentrated blast of lightning energy and cried out, Shunko. For a moment or two the 2 powerful energy blasts clashed with one another and fought for dominance. Slowly Gurren Heat Blast was pushing Swaphon's Shunko back. Seeing this, Swaphon decided to go for broke and give it everything she got, where she channeled all her remaining chakra into her attack. With the added boost, Swaphon's Shunko was able to push back Gurren attack right back at her. Unable to do anything, all Gurren could do was watch with horror and scream, as her attack was forced back at her by Swaphon attack and hit her. After a massive explosion, Gurren body fell to the ground not far from where Swaphon was now. Luckily though, Gurren's prism had protected her from the majority of the blast. But she was still badly hurt from the attack, with many burns and injuries, and was knocked unconscious from the blast. After the attack, Swaphon fell to her knees panting and sweating heavily, as she used virtually all her chakra in that last attack, with hardly any left, and was completely drained physical, where she could barely stand let alone fight. Right after the battle ended, several of her shock-nins appeared. Swaphon Tangu, are you alright? Asked a shock-nin with a yellow and black snake-shaped mask. I'm fine, grunted Swaphon, not liking to show any weakness to her subordinates. Tangu, do you need medical treatment? Asked a shock-nin medic wearing a crane-shaped mask. Swaphon of course grunted again in acknowledgement, whereas the shock-nin medic was healing her wounds and helping her recover her chakra from battle. Swaphon turned to the snake mask shock-nin. You snake. I want you and your team to go over there, and secure the Oto-nin over there. But Tangu, how can she be alive after being receiving a directly hit from your Shunko, spoke Snake. Trust me, she alive, as someone like her isn't easily killed, commented Swaphon. Besides, my orders from the Raikage were to capture her alive if possible, as she is one of Orochimaru's chief lieutenants and will have valuable information about his organization, spoke Swaphon. Hi, replied Snake and some of the other shock-nins, now understanding, where they then shunshin over to where Gurren lay, and quickly secured her and stabilized her so that she be well enough to be moved to a more secure location until the battle ended. After some of the shock-nins left, to secure and capture Gurren, the remaining others secured the area in case of enemy shinobis would come upon them and attack them, when Swaphon was in her weakened condition from her battle with Gurren. As the shock-nin medic healed her wounds and replenished her chakra reserves, Swaphon allowed herself to let her guard down slightly, and rest for a few minutes by closing her eyes. But soon after she quickly opened them, after she heard and felt a powerful blast happening not too far away from where she and her subordinates were. When she opened her eyes, she saw a large mushroom-shaped cloud of smoke coming from the area, where she knew her husband Naruto was fighting Orochimaru and the other leaders of the enemy coalition. After seeing it, Suafon soon felt the massive source of chakra. Upon sensing it, Suafon immediately recognized it as Naruto's chakra, and could not help but have a small smirk on her face. "The Raikage?" asked Crane, who already knew that answer to it though, as it was obvious. Suafon, of course, just nodded in acknowledgement, and signaled Crane to continue healing her. As Crane was doing so, Suafon closed her eyes again, with the small smirk still on her face, and thought, Naruto-kun certainly isn't holding anything back on them. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the others, after a massive explosion, Orochimaru and his allies were blown back, as their latest attack on Naruto had failed, as Naruto had sent them all flying back, after using a powerful wind ninjutsu attack. As Orochimaru skidded back and regained his footing, he frowned, as things were not going the way he thought they would. As the Naruto he was fighting now, was not the same Naruto he knew from 10 years ago. This Naruto was not only stronger and faster, but was also much cleverer and more level-headed than before, not to mention far more deadly than he ever was before. Not like the hot-head young blonde, who would you rush head first into a fight without a thought or plan. Damn this brat, how could he have changed so much? He a completely different person from what he used to be like. He almost like a mountain, impassable, unmovable, unconquerable. No. I can't think like that despite how powerful has become. He's not unbeatable. I'll not let this impudent child beat me again, thought Orochimaru with anger as he glared coldly at Naruto. As the other leaders of the anti-Konoha coalition regrouped around one another, they prepared to attack him together one again, hoping to overwhelm if not find an opening to hit Naruto and kill him. Ryoku was the first of them to re-engage Naruto. He then cried out, "Try and dodge this, bastard." Doton, Doryo Dango, Earth style, Earth Mausoleum Dumpling, where he then lifted up the very surface of the earth and lifted a gigantic lump of earth out of the ground and threw it at Naruto. As the gigantic lump of earth flew towards him, Naruto just smirked, not the least bit worried by it, where just as it was about to crush him, Naruto quickly took out his wind sword handle that was on utility belt, and activated it and then swung it in a vertical slash, cutting the lump of earth in two, where they split apart on either side of him. Not to be deterred, Shiro and Shinran quickly did a series of hand seal together where Shiro cried out, "Suiten, Bakusui Shoha," water style, exploding water colliding wave spitting out a giant wave of water. While at the same time Shinran cried out, "Raidenru, lightning current." The lightning quickly combined with the giant water wave, enhancing its power greatly. As the giant lightning enhanced wave came towards him, Naruto quickly did a quick set of hand seals and cried out, "Tenpu Midet, Heavenly Wind Rage 3, after which a massive explosion of wind erupted in front of Naruto, where it blasted the powerful lightning enhanced wave back at Shiro and the others with incredible force. Seeing the giant lightning enhanced wave being forced back at him, where it was enhanced further by Naruto's wind attack, allowing the giant wave to move at a much greater speed and force than before. Shiro, Shinran, Orochimaru and the others quickly shunned and body flicker away, to avoid the attack, which destroyed many buildings and houses that were behind them and flooded several streets. After the attack, Doku appeared on Naruto's left side, several feet away from him, while Orochimaru appeared on Naruto's right side, at the same distance as Doku, where they then both fired their own independent attacks at Naruto on either side of him. "Doku Shoto, Venom Shot," cried Orochimaru, as several snakes ejected out of his sleeve and fired several small shots of venom at Naruto. "Kaiten, Hosenka no Jutsu, Fire Style, Phoenix, Immortal Fire Technique," cried Doku, as he spat out several small balls of fire at Naruto. As the attacks came at him, Naruto calmly did a single on-handed hand seal and spoke out, "Kujaku Senpujin Peacock Whirlwind Formation," causing a vortex of wind to surround him and pushed the two attacks back at Orochimaru and Doku, who quickly dodged them. After their failed attack, Orochimaru and Doku rejoined Ryoku, Shiro and Shinran, where they all glared at Naruto, who just smirked back at him, as he put his wind sword handle back on his utility belt. "Is that all you got? Because if it is, then I'm afraid that this fight won't last much longer, and I won't really get much of a workout from you." At hearing this, the five men all growled angrily at the insult, where Orochimaru then spoke up, "Don't act so cocky, boy, this fight is far from over," after which he then opened his mouth where extending a snake appeared out, which then opened its mouth as well, producing a katana handle, which Orochimaru then took and pulled out his Kusanagi no Tsurugi, sword of Kusanagi, after which the snake then retracted back into Orochimaru's mouth. "Ah, the Kusanagi no Tsurugi, so you're finally getting serious," well then one legendary sword should be only matched by another legendary sword, spoke Naruto. At hearing this everyone thought he was going to bring out the Nadaime Hokage's Raijin no Ken, sword of the Thunder God, but to their surprise Naruto then took off the cloth-covered sword on his back. After which he then pulled the cord that kept the wrapped cloth around the sword off, and threw it away, where he then uncovered the top of the cloth off that was over the sword handle, revealing a small gold-colored face on the tip of the katana suka handle. The suka itself was white with gold-colored lines spiraling up to the tsuba, sword guard, which was also gold color and shaped by 3 fang-shaped points, giving the appearance of a bird's claw. When Naruto grabbed the sword handle, a massive powerful pulse of chakra was felt throughout the village, causing both sides to once again stop their fighting after feeling it, but as quickly as it came it left, leaving many others wondering where it came from and what was it. Naruto then took off the rest of the cloth over the katana, revealing its white sheath, where he then threw the cloth into the blowing wind. After which Naruto then grabbed hold of the sword handle and spoke out, "Cry out into the soaring heavenly skies, Tengu," and unsheathed the katana. Upon unsheathing the katana, a massive ear-splitting screech was heard all over the village, as if some gigantic bird was actually crying out to the heavens. As the screeching cry was heard, everyone that heard it either cringed in pain at the loud screech or had to cover his or her ears, since it became too much for them to hear, especially for those hearing it for the first time. With the observing group, "Damn, yo. I hate it when he does this, it ain't cool, it's a pain," cried Killer Bee as he held his ears in pain at sound coming from the sword. "Stop your complaining, Bee, at least you don't have sensitive hearing, besides it's almost over," said Yugito as she was cringing in pain at the loud sound and was covering her ears as well. As thanks to hosting the Nibi, she had sharp cat-like hearing, which became sensitive when hearing loud noises. "Where the fuck is this noise coming from?" cried Kiba in pain, where like with Yugito, he had sensitive hearing thanks to his clan connections to their ninken. "It's coming from the katana," cried Kakashi over the noise as he was cringing at the loud sound as well, while at the same time wondering what was with the katana that Naruto had. Soon after the screeching noise died down, where they then got a better look at the katana, and saw that its blade was now glowing bright electric blue and was emanating lightning all around itself. 4. That katana. "It's not possible," spoke Tsunade in surprise, as she instantly recognized the katana in Naruto's hand. "It is, but where did he find it? It's been lost for decades," asked Jiraiya with just as much surprise as Tsunade. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the others, "Impossible, where did you find that blade and how can you even wield it?" cried Orochimaru in disbelief, knowing the katana, the moment he got a better look at it. At this Naruto let out a chuckle at Orochimaru's confusion and anger, as he enjoyed infuriating the Snake Sannin, after all the grief he caused him in the past. "You forget my reputation, Orochimaru, back when I was still with Konoha, as back then I was known as the most surprising ninja ever in Konoha, as I had a knack of making the impossible possible," sneered Naruto as he hung the sheath of the katana back around his back. "So it shouldn't be surprising that I now wield the sword of Tengu." With the observing group, "The sword of what?" asked Konohamaru in confusion as he had never heard of it before. "The sword of Tengu," spoke Tsunade grimily, as she looked at it. "What is this katana, Hokage-sama, as I have never seen or heard of such a weapon," spoke Neji, as he could see that katana was actually emanating chakra by itself, which was something he didn't think was possible until now. "It is an ancient and powerful blade that was once wielded by the Nadaime Raikage. During the First Great Shinobi World War, he used the sword of Tengu to devastating effects, defeating countless opponents and destroying many fortresses and bases. He even used it to kill my great-uncle the Nadaime Hokage during the war, when he led Kinkaku Butai Kinkaku force against him. Upon his death, the sword immediately became a sacred treasure of Kumo due to its incredible power, where many Kumo shinobis tried to wield it, but all failed. Soon after, it disappeared and was lost, or at least until now," spoke Tsunade as she stared at the weapon that killed her great-uncle. "But what exactly makes it so special? And why is it that no one could wield it?" asked Sakura. Before Tsunade could answer Sakura's question, Tenten spoke up. "The sword of Tengu is one of the 3 celestial swords, said to be the 3 strongest swords in existence," spoke Tenten, surprising everyone that had not known this. "The 3 celestial swords?" asked Udon in confusion, but before he could ask what they were exactly, Tenten continued. "The 3 celestial swords were ancient powerful swords that were said to be created before the founding of ninjutsu and were created by a skilled swordsmith, whose name has long since been lost. According to legend, before the foundation of ninjutsu and before the Age of Endless War and the Rikudo Sennen, sage of the six paths, humans were often easy prey for powerful demons that attacked and harassed humans, who could not harm them with their ordinary weapons. Taking pity on them, the king of the Tengu spirits Sojobo and other good Tengu spirits taught humans how to fight and defend themselves against the demons by using their mystical arts, which were later explained by the Rikudo Sennen and became known as ninjutsu. This is why they're worshipped and revered by shinobi monks today as the first original ninjutsu users, and the original teachers of ninjutsu. But not only did they teach humans the ancient forms of ninjutsu, but they also taught them art of swordsmanship, otherwise known as kenjutsu, where they then also helped humans make powerful weapons to help fight off demons. The most powerful of these weapons were the three celestial swords, where the king of the Tengu spirits himself was said to have blessed the three sacred swords with incredible power. One of these swords was the Sword of Tengu, named after the Tengu spirits themselves, in honor of all the help they gave humans. It is said that when blessed by the Tengu king, he gave the sword the power of the heavens themselves, where it can cause thunderstorms and possesses the power of lightning itself. This gave rise to its other name, the Sword of Heavens. The sword was said to be so powerful that it could destroy entire fortresses with a single swing of its blade, and that it could cut a mountain in two. Although the stories about the sword being able to do those things are said to be just stories, but even still it is agreed that its power far exceeds that of the Raijin no Ken. Also, according to legend, to prevent the swords from being misused by others, the swords were also made into sentient swords, much like Hoshigaki Kisame Samehada sword, where they're able to choose who they wish to wield them, and who they don't want to wield them. This is why no one other than the Nadaime Raikage was able to wield it, as none that tried were deemed worthy to use the sword by the sword itself, said Tenten, as she was well versed in the history of powerful known and legendary weapons. Upon hearing Tenten say all this, the elder Konoha shinobis nodded in agreement with Tenten's explanation, as they had heard all the same things. Although the younger members were utterly stunned at the sword's history, while Zhuge Liang and the others were impressed with Tenten's knowledge of the sword, as she knew more than most people in New Kumo. Impressive, you're well versed in the sword's history and abilities, although you're mistaken about one thing about the sword abilities, the stories about them are true, spoke Okatsu. Which ones? Asked Tenten. All of them, replied Okatsu simply, whereupon hearing this, the Konoha and Suna group had dumbstruck looks on their faces. Impossible, said Kurenai. There's no way that katana could do all the things it said to do, no katana is that powerful, stated Tsunade in disbelief. What Okatsu says is true, as the legends behind the katana's power are indeed all true, as I've seen its power myself, spoke Zhuge Liang calmly. But how? The Nadaime Raikage nev, spoke Tsunade, but was interrupted by Zhuge Liang before she could finish. As great as the Nadaime Raikage's power was combined with the Sword of Tengu, he was never able to fully master or use the katana to its full extent, as it was too powerful for him to control. Naruto, on the other hand, is able to use Tengu's power to its fullest level. Oh yay. When this battle gets going, they all gonna get humiliated. Before they get poppin', said Killer Bee in one of his bad rhymes. I agree, these guys won't stand a chance now that Naruto-kun is taking out Tengu, stated Yugito. What do you mean by that? Asked Choji, not getting it. You see, when the Raikage takes out Tengu, he 10 times more deadly than he ever was before, not just because of the power that Tengu possesses, but when he uses Tengu he doesn't play around with it at all, he becomes deadly serious in a fight, and he works with Tengu, stated Fu. What do you mean work with it? Asked Ino. You forget, Tengu is alive as you or I, and it doesn't just pick a wielder and lets him use it for whatever he wants, the user has to be linked with Tengu and work with it in order to use it full power. That's why the Nadaime Raikage could never use Tengu's full strength. He was unable to fully link and bond with Tengu, unlike Naruto, who has. Hence he doesn't mess around with his opponent or goes easy on him when he uses it, as Tengu doesn't going easy on its opponents, as it likes to take out its opponents hard and fast, spoke Yugito. This of course surprised the others, especially the older members, as they did not know that the user must be linked with Tengu in order to use its full strength. Man, Ni-san, you're just too cool, thought Konohamaru with a smile. Sasuke, on the other hand, growled a little and narrowed his eyes, as he wasn't exactly sure whether to believe what he had heard. But it still angered to knowing that Naruto had a powerful katana like that, as he had felt the powerful chakra surge coming from the katana earlier like everyone else, and the power was indeed incredible, and knowing that Naruto had a sword with that kind of power did not sit well with him in the least. Curse you, Naruto, curse you. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the others. As Orochimaru and the others gazed at the sword of Tengu with concerned looks on their faces, Shiro suddenly spoke up. There's no way that can be the real sword of Tengu, it has to be some kind of fake he had made to intimidate us and others. Even if it was the real thing, there's no way it could be as powerful as people say, as it's just a sword and like any other, and swords can't have the kind of power people say that one has. Upon the Mizukage saying this, Tengu started to shake in Naruto's hand and to give out even more lightning than it had been before, where small crippling noises like Kakashi's and Sasuke's Chidori were heard coming from Tengu, whereby the sound of it didn't seem happy to what Shiro had said. You just made a big mistake, Shiro, said Naruto, which caused the Mizukage to raise his eyebrow, wondering what Naruto meant by that. You just made Tengu angry, and that's something not even I would dare do. TSK. Like I care what some sword thinks of me, scoffed Mizukage. Well then, allow me to show you why you should never get of Tengu's bad side and prove to you that the stories of Tengu's power are indeed true, said Naruto, where he then raised Tengu to up to arm's height and cried out, Himiraiko, lightning scream, thrusting his katana forward, as if he was stabbing something. Whereas he did, a massive blast of lightning erupted from Tengu and surged forward towards several large empty buildings, all the while letting off the same loud screaming noise it had been letting out before. As soon as it hit, a massive blast and a bright flash of light erupted and forced everyone nearby to cover their eyes. As the light died down, a large cloud of smoke erupted from the area that Naruto's attack hit. When everyone looked, they're shocked to see that the entire area was flattened completely. All that was left was dust and dirt. There weren't even any ruins left, as the attack had leveled an entire village block. With the observing group, and to think that was only with a mere fraction of its power, commented Zhuge with a slight smile. Upon hearing this, the Konoha and Suna group looked at Zhuge was insane. That was only a fraction, asked a shocked guy, where Zhuge just nodded. Yes, if Naruto had wanted to, he could have destroyed much more than that vacant block, for as we said, the sword of Tengu has the power to destroy an entire fortress with a single swipe. He could well bring down the entire Hokage monument down on the village with little trouble. Hearing this, of course, made many of the Konoha group gap at the amount of power that Naruto had, although one certain person glared angrily and with a twig of jealousy at the blonde-haired hero. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the others, so gentlemen, tell me which of you will go first, asked Naruto with a smirk. Orochimaru and the others, of course, did not know what to do, as they were still a bit unnerved at the level of power that Naruto had shown his katana had, and they also knew that was only the tip of the kind of power the Kanata had, if they went by what the legends said about it. Seeing that none of his opponents were going to make the first move, Naruto decided to make the first move, where within a flash Naruto appeared right in front on Ryoku, and before he could react or even fully realize where Naruto was, Naruto punched him hard in the gut, making the large make keeled over before Naruto did a full 360 spin, where he swept Ryoku's feet from under him and then kicked him in the ribcage as he spun back around, sending Ryoku skidding away on the ground several feet away from the others, after which Naruto quickly turned to face the rest of the group, who had just realized where he was. Before Orochimaru could react, let alone avoid, Naruto swung Tengu and cut Orochimaru in two, but just as Orochimaru's upper half was falling away from its lower half, dozens of snakes came from the halves and brought him back together. Whereas he was being brought back together, Orochimaru then stabbed at Naruto with Kusanagi, but when he did, Naruto turned into lightning, revealing it to be a Raikage Bunshin, lightning release, shadow clone. When Orochimaru hit the Raikage Bunshin, the lightning from the Bushin reverted into its natural state, where it then traveled up Kusanagi and into Orochimaru's body, electrocuting him. It was after this that the real Naruto appeared in front of Orochimaru, and hit him with a rising kick, sending him flying into the air, after which Naruto then disappeared in a blue flash and then reappeared behind Shinran. Before Shinran could even respond to this, Naruto then hit him with his futon, Senpuken wind style, whirlwind fist, where he punched him in the back, while at the same time releasing a giant, adaptable whirlwind that sent Shinran spiraling away into the open area. As soon as Naruto had dealt with Shinran, he quickly found himself wrapped in Suiten, Suiban water style, water whip, with his arms pinned against him and the Mizukage holding the other end, grinning sadistically, at believing he had Naruto and Doku preparing to fire a jutsu at him. After finishing his seals and gather a large amount of his chakra and compressing it in his body, where he then cried out, Kaiten, Katora Daibaku at fire style, fire tiger explosion, and then shot a massive ball of fire in the shape of a tiger's head at Naruto. Seeing the fire tiger attack heading towards him, Naruto just smirked where he then quickly used Raiten no Yoroi, and wrapped himself in lightning and channeled a large amount of it into the water whip and sent it at Shiro, who was electrocuted by the lightning and forced to let go of the water whip, releasing Naruto. Using the Raiten no Yoroi and enhancing his speed, Naruto then quickly avoided Doku's Katora Daibaku and reappeared in front of Shiro and delivered a power spinning kick that was greatly enhanced thanks to Raiten no Yoroi, where he smashed Shiro armor and sent him flying into a small house about 100 meters away. Naruto then quickly sped toward Doku, who tried to use a Kawarimi no Jutsu body replacement technique to avoid being hit but was too slow to avoid it, and was hit by Naruto, who delivered a powerful punch to his stomach, which was empowered by his Raiten no Yoroi, much like the kick that he had hit Shiro with moments ago. Thanks to the punch, Doku flew through the air and was embedded into the wall of a large building. He tried to move but found he could not as he was embedded too deep into the thick wall and was in a lot of pain from Naruto's attack, and was certain he had several broken ribs and Kami knew what else. It was at this point that Doku then heard a large chirping noise, like the chirping of hundreds of little birds all together. When he looked up, he saw much to his horror Naruto heading toward him and incredible speed, with his hand covered in lightning. Much to the utter shock of a certain Uchiha and silver-haired Jonin, who were watching the battle with the other observing members, who were just as surprised as they were. Doku tried to pull himself out of the wall, but his body was in too much pain from Naruto's lightning-enhanced punch from earlier, and he was embedded too deep into the wall to pull himself out in time. All he could do was watch in horror as Naruto charged at him and cried out, Raikage, lightning cutter, where he then plunged his hand into Doku's chest killing him instantly. With the observing group, that was, stated Sasuke in surprise at seeing Naruto use Raikage and killing Doku with it. Raikage, finished Kakashi, who was equally surprised as Sasuke, at seeing Naruto using the jutsu he created, but where did Naruto learn to use it, he muttered out loud. As other than himself Sasuke was the only other person he ever taught it to. Everyone else in the group that wasn't from New Kumo was just as shocked at seeing Naruto using Kakashi's signature move, and were all wondering the same thing as Kakashi. Hearing Kakashi muttered question, Zhuge Liang decided to answer Kakashi question. He learned it through memory, he said simply. What? Asked Kakashi as he turned around to face Zhuge Liang with a confused expression, or at least what could be made out as one due to his mask cover most of his face. As I said, he learned it through memory. Your technique is rather simple to learn for someone with the Ranba Car limit, Stormbreaker limit, as your Chidori, 1000 birds, is basically based on a person focusing a large amount of lightning chakra into one's hand. Your Raikage is also basically the same, only more concentrated, so it's easy enough for someone like Naruto recreate the jutsu without having to do the hand seals for it. Although I will admit it did take him a while to be able to generate and control the right amount of lightning chakra in his hand without doing himself harm, stated Zhuge Liang. Shocked at hearing, Kakashi one visible eye widened greatly, but even still, how? At this Zhuge Liang eyes narrowed slightly. One can always clearly remember an attack that was rammed into one's chest twice, by a person they had believed was their friend Kakashi-san, stated Zhuge Liang, where he turned slightly to look at Sasuke, who of course just stared back. Not the least bit intimidated by Zhuge Liang, where after a minute or he just scoffed, not caring what they thought of him, and continued to watch Naruto in his battle against Orochimaru and his allies. After hearing Zhuge Liang answer, Kakashi could not help but filch slightly, as he had always felt guilty over that incident, as he had been the one who taught Sasuke the Chidori, thereby in a way he was responsible for Sasuke nearly killing Naruto twice. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the others after killing Doku, Naruto then pulled out his hand out of Doku's body, which then fell to the ground bleeding. When Naruto turned around, he saw Orochimaru and the others had once again regrouped and were staring at Naruto with angry. As despite the hits they took from Naruto, they were still able to fight. The backplate of Shinran's Anbu-like armor had protected him from much of the damage of Naruto's Senpuken. Although the armor was now destroyed thanks to the attack, as was Shiro's samurai-like armor, when Naruto hit it with his Raiten no Yoroi enhanced kick, although the armor had still protected him from any major harm. As Naruto stared at his enemies, he started to grin slightly, as if enjoying himself, where he then held up his left hand that had lightning sparking around it, as if signaling Orochimaru and the others to come at him, while holding Tangu, which was also sparking electricity around itself, in his right hand. "So gentlemen, who's next?" spoke the grinning Raikage. "With Mitsuhide and Kabuto, Takaha, Hawk Wave, L," cried Mitsuhide as he swung his katana in a diagonal slash motion, where he created a powerful vacuum pocket that hit Kabuto, and sent him flying into the air, and was cutting him into pieces. Although, he quickly puffed, revealing him to be a piece of wood, showing that Kabuto had used a Kawarimi no Jutsu to replace himself with just before Mitsuhide's attack hit him. Upon realizing this, Mitsuhide did a backwards flip to avoid a strike from behind by Kabuto with his Chakra no Mesu chakra scalpel, who had hoped to sever Mitsuhide's spinal cord from behind. As Mitsuhide was in midair, he quickly took out 3 kunai and channeled some of his wind affinity into to enhance their reach and cutting power, where he then threw them at Kabuto back, which was only narrowly able to avoid the high-speed kunai, and keep himself from being killed. Although he still had a large cut on his side that bled, along with a gash on his left hip and a small cut on his right cheek. But the wounds quickly healed up, thanks to Kabuto's Inu Shomatsu secret healing wound destruction. But as soon as Kabuto's wounds were healed, he suddenly saw Mitsuhide coming at him with his katana at frightening speed. Kabuto quickly used a Shunshin no Jutsu to avoid being hit. Although he wasn't fast enough to avoid Mitsuhide completely, as he was to slash at Kabuto's chest with his blade, just as he shunshined away. Not to be deterred, Mitsuhide quickly used his Takagan Hawkeye to track Kabuto, who appeared not far away from him to his left side. After locating his target, Mitsuhide quickly swung his sword again and cried out Takaha, firing another powerful vacuum pocket at Kabuto, who was somehow able to dodge the attack, although his left arm was grazed by it, where he received several large cuts because of the slashing blades of the wind attack. Despite the wounds on his arms, Kabuto was not the least bit worried about it, as he was certain that his Inu Shomatsu would heal his arm, but he was worried about how much longer he would be able to last, as he knew he didn't have too much chakra left, as he had to use his Inu Shomatsu technique a lot, to heal all the different wounds he suffered from fighting Mitsuhide. Where if things kept going like this, he knew he wouldn't last much longer, as he had yet to really hit Mitsuhide, as every time the man would block, avoid or dodge his attacks, or simply counter them perfectly thanks to his Takagan. After the wounds of his arm healed, Kabuto prepared to active his Chakra no Mesu, but when he tried to do hand seals, he found he could not move his left arm. "What going on? Why can't I move my arm?" thought Kabuto in confusion and worry. Seeing Kabuto distracted, Mitsuhide decided to take advantage of Kabuto's distraction, where he quickly appeared right in front of Kabuto and slashed once again at Kabuto with his katana, where Kabuto had no chance of dodging and was slashed at the chest. Falling to the ground bleeding badly, Kabuto tried to move, but couldn't, as Mitsuhide stood over him with his katana pointing at his head. Realizing he couldn't escape, Kabuto decided to speak. "My arm, how did you do to it?" "Wouldn't you like to know?" replied Mitsuhide, where he smiled at Kabuto's angry and annoyed face. Other than just cutting up and destroy thing or people, Mitsuhide's Takaha had another effect. As if a person such as Kabuto was able to dodge his attack, they could not avoid the tiny residual wind blades that were created by his attack and surround the vacuum pocket he created. These tiny wind blades wouldn't only just cut a person's outer skin, but they could also sever all the nerve channels in a person's body, leaving the target unable to move after being struck, as it was a great deal harder to heal internal damage like that than ordinary cuts. This was why Kabuto's healing technique had not fully healed it yet, as it took time to reconnect all those severed nerve channels even with the best medical ninjutsu, and by the time it, even though Mitsuhide refused to tell him how he did it, Kabuto guessed that it involved his last technique, where the attack must generate tiny wind blades or something like them, that could do damage internal as well as externally. Although it was only a guess, it made sense, and if it were true, it meant Mitsuhide's attack was much more powerful than he thought. He also guessed that Kumo knew about the limits of his Inu Shomatsu, as it was the only explanation at how Mitsuhide knew what kind of attacks would work against him. Meaning that Kumo had certainly done its homework on him, where he was certain that the Raikage had personally assigned Mitsuhide to take him out given his technique and his bloodline. As Mitsuhide stood over Kabuto, he prepared to give the finishing blow and knock Kabuto out, as his orders were to capture Kabuto if possible, where they could interrogate him for information on all of Orochimaru activities, or kill him if necessary. But before Mitsuhide could knock Kabuto out, a sudden massive roar was heard, where when Mitsuhide and Kabuto turned to look, they saw the last of Orochimaru's cursed seal warriors. That had somehow survived to this point and was charging at them, intending to kill them both, not caring that Kabuto was on his side. The creature quickly sped towards them with incredible speed, which was surprising given its large bulky size. Mitsuhide, who had been so distracted by preparing to finish off Kabuto, he had not noticed the creature until it roared out and was just about on top of him and Kabuto. Quickly both Mitsuhide and Kabuto jumped away and narrowly avoided being killed by the creature. After jumping away and creating some distance between him and the creature, Mitsuhide quickly sheathed his sword and fell into a Batojutsu stance and prepared himself for the creature's attacks. When the cursed seal warrior saw that it had missed its prey, it quickly started to look around for it, where it soon found Mitsuhide, who was falling into his Batojutsu stance. Upon seeing Mitsuhide, the creature let out another huge roar and charged at Mitsuhide at full speed on all fours. As the cursed seal warrior charged at him, Mitsuhide did not move and waited for the right moment to attack. As the cursed seal warrior came closer and closer, Mitsuhide waited for the moment to come. Just when the cursed warrior was nearing Mitsuhide and was about to pounce on him, Mitsuhide saw his moment and drew his sword out with lightning fast speed and cried out, "Takazan, hawk slash!" Whereupon, drawing his katana at such incredible high speed, a crescent-shaped blade of air erupted from his blade, and hit the cursed seal warrior. At first the attack seemed to do nothing and the cruel seal warrior was about to stab Mitsuhide with its claw, but just when it was a hair's breadth away from stabbing Mitsuhide in the face with its claw, the creature suddenly stopped, where a second later it fell to the ground with its body cut in two, where its upper half was severed from its lower half. The cut was so clean that there was no blood splatter whatsoever, not even a trace of blood could be seen on Mitsuhide's white clothing. When Mitsuhide resheathed his katana, he looked around for Kabuto, but as he had guessed, Kabuto was gone, as he had no doubt used the cursed seal warrior's attack to escape. Mitsuhide had tried looking for him using his Takugan to try and track Kabuto. Unfortunately, there was too much smoke and fighting going on between the two sides and too many people around to find Kabuto, who had no doubt shunshed away and was now long gone. After deactivating his Takugan, a frown appeared on Mitsuhide's face as he had failed in his mission to capture or kill Kabuto, and he disliked failing a mission about as much as he liked missing his targets. Soon after, Mitsuhide was then joined by his partner Sayuri. "Hey Mitsuhide, are you okay? You don't look happy. Where Kabuto?" spoke Sayuri to her childhood friend. "He escaped, I'm afraid," replied Mitsuhide, simply. This of course surprised Sayuri, as Mitsuhide rarely failed in a mission. The guy must have been pretty good to escape you. Indeed, he was even able to make me miss of several occasions by avoid my attacks and just receiving simple cuts, said Mitsuhide, surprising Sayuri, as Mitsuhide rarely miss his intended targets. Although still, he would not have gotten away had this creature not appeared, finished Mitsuhide as he pointed at the cut corpse of the cursed seal warrior. Sayuri only nodded in understanding, and before she could say anything there was a sudden massive explosion from where Naruto was fighting Orochimaru and the others. "Looks like things are starting to heat up a bit, as Naruto is using Tengu," stated Sayuri as she looked to where the explosion came from and could tell that Naruto was using Tengu by using her sensory skills to sense Tengu lightning chakra. "Indeed, I believe we should go and see how well our former student is faring," replied Mitsuhide, where Sayuri nodded in agreement and they both left together. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the others jumping away avoiding another powerful lightning attack from Naruto, Orochimaru landed and skidded on the flat ground of the leveled area that they were battling on. As he did, he narrowed his eyes at the smirking figure of one Uzumaki Naruto, aka the Rokudaime Raikage. He was then joined by Ryoku, Shinran and Shiro, who all had several cuts, burns and bruises on different parts of their arms. For the past several minutes all four of them had attacked Naruto either in pairs or all together, but each time Naruto had forced them back, without any of them making any real damage to him, other than a few cuts and scorch marks on his long blue coat and black pants. Quickly Orochimaru stretched out his hand in a punching motion and cried out, "Sene Tajishu," many hidden shadow snake hands, where a large amount of snakes appeared out of his sleeves where he launched them at Naruto. Seeing them, Naruto quickly did a few one-handed hand seals and cried out, "Raiten, Suzukiri, lightning style," Cutting Sparrow 5, where he created several sparrows made out of lightning and fired them at the approaching snakes. The lightning sparrows quickly cut through the snakes and flew straight at Orochimaru, who quickly used his Haru Bansho, Boku no Jutsu, Leech All Creation, attack prevention technique to sink into the ground to avoid Naruto's attack. Unfortunately for Naruto, Orochimaru's attack was just a diversion, where as soon as he launched his Senei Taijutsu, he and the others disappeared and reappeared around Naruto and fired their own individual ninjutsus at Naruto, who quickly brought back his lightning sparrows and had them block the attacks, while at the same time jumping up into the air. As soon as he did, Orochimaru reappeared above him in midair and tried to stab with his Kusanagi, but Naruto easily blocked his attack with his Tengu, where the katana then started to discharge lightning and channeled it into Orochimaru's sword, where it then traveled into Orochimaru's body, electrocuting him. Taking advantage of Orochimaru being electrocuted by Tengu, Naruto quickly kicked Orochimaru in the side with a lightning-enhanced kick, and sent Orochimaru flying into the ground below. Upon landing, Ryoku suddenly appeared in front of Naruto, where he then slammed his hand into the ground and cried out Doten, Ritsudo Tensho, Earth Style, tearing earth turning palm. After which the ground surrounding Naruto began to spiral inwards on itself. Naruto quickly jumped up into the air again to avoid being buried alive or crushed by the jutsu. But when he did, he suddenly heard Shiro shout out, Suten, Sushu Gorugan Water Style, Powerful Blasting Rain Trench, where he created a body of water out of thin air and took the form of a dragon with a gaping mouth and launched it at Naruto. Naruto shunshed to the ground in an attempt to avoid the attack, but Shiro was able to control the dragon and had it turn and attack Naruto again. Naruto tried to avoid the attack few more times, but seeing that the attack kept following him, he decided to deal with it. He then did 3 quick one-handed hand seal and cried out, Hyoten, Hayumoko, Ice Release, Tearing Dragon Fierce Tiger. Where he then created a giant ice tiger and ice dragon, where they then clashed with the oncoming water dragon, and quickly turned the water dragon into solid ice statue, which Naruto quickly destroyed with a lightning blast from Tengu. Hyoten thought the Mizukage in surprise, before he frowned in anger, so the legends are true after all, curse that bloodline freak. After dealing with the Mizukage's attack, Naruto then came under attack by a large creature made out of rock. The creature of course caught Naruto by surprise at first, but he quickly regained himself upon realizing it was a rock golem, which the Tsuchikage had created. As soon as Naruto had jumped away to avoid being hit by the golem's large fist, he suddenly looked up after hearing Ryoku's voice shouting out from above him, Daiyu Hellspawn, Yoganweri Rock Crush. N. Quickly Naruto used a Kawarimi to replace himself with a boulder to avoid Ryoku's attack, where as soon as his fist hit the ground around him was utterly pulverized, where large and small pieces of rocks were scattered around him, along with a large dust cloud. As Ryoku pulled his fist out of the ground, he suddenly heard Naruto cry out, Ranten, Riza Sakasu, Storm Release, encouraging crushing chain tormenting principle. After which several bright beams of electricity appeared from Naruto's one free hand, and headed towards Ryoku. Ranten, but how, thought the Tsuchikage, whereupon seeing the technique coming from Naruto's now revealed location in the dust cloud. Ryoku quickly tried to avoid the beams of electricity, but Naruto was able to alter the beam's direction to follow him. As Ryoku continued to dodge the beams, he saw from the corner of his eye his golem being obliterated by a few of Naruto's beams. Not wanting to end up like his golem, Ryoku quickly used his Doten, Mogaraga no Jutsu Earth Style, hiding like a mole technique, and sank into the ground, to avoid the beam, which hit the ground and exploded. Ryoku then quickly popped from the ground underneath Naruto and delivered a power right uppercut to Naruto, sending him flying backwards, but as soon as did, Naruto puffed into smoke, revealing him to be a Kage Bunshin. Upon realizing this, Ryoku saw Naruto then appeared from the smoke of the Kage Bunshin, as he used it as a smoke screen with his free left fist surrounded in lightning and shouted, Eat this. Raikage Thunder Fist. Oh, thereby sending Ryoku flying backwards into a ruined wall over 50 meters away from where he was and then through the wall itself. When Ryoku tried to move, he found that he couldn't. Damn it, my body's gone numb, from lightning technique he used. As soon as he had dealt with Ryoku, Shiro appeared to Naruto's left side and tried to stab him with his Mizu no Ken, but as he did, Naruto quickly spun around, slashed at the Godai Mizukage with Tengu. Shiro was able to duck underneath the slash, but wasn't able to avoid Naruto's other attack, where he did a quick high-speed palm thrust with his other free hand, which was covered in wind chakra, and hit Shiro in the stomach while crying out, "Futon, Fusho, wind style, wind palm." P and blasted Shiro away. After pushing Shiro back, Shinran then appeared to Naruto's right side, with a new katana he had summoned and had channeled his lightning chakra into and prepared to slash Naruto head off. Seeing the attack coming at the corner of his eye, Naruto quickly spun around and blocked Shinran's katana with Tengu, after which Naruto pushed Shinran back, causing the man to stumble back as he lost his balance, thereby giving Naruto an opening, which he took and slashed at Shinran, but when he did, Shinran turned into lightning, revealing him to be a Raikage Bunshin, which Tengu then absorbed so to protect Naruto from the lightning, when it reverted back into its original state. Upon seeing this, a Tanto blade suddenly appeared out of Naruto's chest, revealing that the real Shinran had used the Raikage Bunshin as a distraction to keep Naruto busy, while he waited for an opening to strike Naruto from behind. "Got you now, you bastard," said Shinran with a grin, which quickly faded when he saw Naruto smirk, before he blew up, revealing him to be a Bunshin Daibaku, a clone great explosion. Fortunately though, Shinran was able to avoid the blast by jumping up into the air the very last moment. "Damn that bastard, where did he go?" said an angry and slightly singed Shinran in midair, before he heard someone cry out, "Looking for me." When Shinran looked up, he saw Naruto falling down towards him from the air with Tengu held over his head. Shinran was so surprised by Naruto's sudden appearance above him, that he was unable to move out of the way in time, where Naruto then did a vertical slash, cutting Shinran in half, from his head down to between his legs, after which in an impressive feat of swordsmanship Naruto then cut Shinran's body into several different pieces. After which he then brought the palm of his hand out forward and fired a powerful lightning jutsu and completely vaporized the cut-up body pieces. With the observing group, "Damn. There goes another one," stated Jiraiya. "Go Ni-san," cheered Konohamaru. "Naruto-kun, you're amazing," said Hinata's. "He's incredible," stated Ino, at how easily Naruto handled all the anti-Konoha coalition leaders' attacks and beat them back. "Yay," replied Kiba, "but how did Naruto do those Hyoten and Ranten techniques?" asked Sakura in confusion. "You forget, Sakura-san, the Ranba Car limit is the progenitor of those two limits, hence he can do the techniques of those bloodlines, as they did originate from his bloodline. Meaning the same genetic trait that allows Hyoten users to combine their water and wind affinities to create ice jutsu, and the trait that allows Ranten users to combine their water and lightning affinities to create storm jutsu, is also within Naruto," spoke Mitsuhide, who had joined the group along with Sayuri, when Naruto was battling Orochimaru and his allies. So basically Naruto has 4 bloodlines in him, as he has enhanced healing powers, the ability to manipulate the weather and can use Ranten and Hyoten jutsu, said Choji in slight awe. "One could look at like that, but it would be more correct to say that the ability to use Hyoten and Ranten jutsus is simply an extension or a part of his Ranba Car bloodline," stated Sayuri. The Konoha and Suna group all nodded their heads in understanding, but still many still could not help but be in slight awe at how powerful Naruto's bloodline really was. Tsunade herself knew all this along with Jiraiya, as she had heard about the Ranba Car ability to use more than one sub-elemental, but was unsure if it was true or not. But after seeing it, it put any doubt she had away. "I knew the Ranba Car was powerful, but still to be able to use Ranten and Hyoten, it's nothing short of incredible. Not to mention frightening, as power like this changes a person, leaving the question, how much have you changed Naruto, and has it been for the better or the worse?" thought Tsunade. As she and the others now watch Naruto face off against the 3 strongest leaders of the anti-Konoha coalition, Orochimaru, the Godai Mizukage Shiro and the Yondai Tsuchikage Ryoku. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the others after defeating and killing Shinran, Naruto smirked at the now 3 remaining members of the anti-Konoha coalition, who did not look the least bit pleased at seeing another member of the group being killed by Naruto. "Well, now that's 2 down and 3 to go," said Naruto with a smirk. "But I don't think I need to use Tengu to handle you 3, continued Naruto, where he then sheathed Tengu back onto his back. At hearing this, Ryoku grew furious. "You dare underestimate us, you arrogant little whelp, I have your head for that insult." "Ryoku, calm down and control yourself, you fool. Don't you see that the boy is trying to goad you into attacking him?" rounded Shiro. "I don't care, it's time this brat pays for his parents' crimes against my village," spoke Ryoku angrily, as he was beyond furious right now. At seeing that cocky-like smirk on his face, that was the exact image of his father the Yondaime Hokage, where it was like the Yondaime was laughing at him from beyond the grave. To Ryoku, Naruto's very existence was an insult to him and his village, as he couldn't stand the fact that the Yondaime line still lived on in his son, and how he was humiliating him in battle just as his father did during the Third Great Shinobi World War. What more, Naruto was also the son of Uzumaki Kushina aka Konoha no Shinku Akari, who was responsible for defeating many of his best men. Not to mention she had used her unique special form of chakra to subdue and defeat the Jinchurikis of the Gobi no Irakawa, five-tailed dolphin horse, and the Yonbi no Saru, four-tailed monkey, in separate battles during the war. These losses, along with the defeats that her now revealed husband the Yondaime Hokage dealt, were the main attributors to Iwa being defeated by Konoha. Hence to Ryoku, this made Naruto the very manifestation of both his and Iwa's defeats and humiliation at the hands of the Konoha no Kiroi Senko and Konoha no Shinku Akari, as he was the byproduct of both of them, which was why he refused to allow Naruto to live a moment longer. Ryoku then did 3 quick hand seals and slammed both his hands onto the ground and cried out Doten, Dohozen, Earth Style, Earth Avalanche. Q, upon which a giant wave of earth erupted from the ground and headed toward Naruto. Yondaime spawn. And join whore of mother in hell, along with your father. Roared Ryoku, and he rode the giant earth wave, as it headed towards Naruto and came crashing down onto him. But as soon as the attack came down on Naruto and buried him under a few hundred tons of earth, there was sudden massive explosion that blasted the large mound of earth away along with Ryoku, who landed and skidded not far from where Orikmari and Shiro were. When the dust cleared from the explosion, they saw Naruto surrounded by a large field of lightning, as he used his Purizuma Boru plasma ball to create a lightning-based defense barrier around him which acted as a shield around him, which protected Naruto from Ryoku attacks. Although when they got a better look of Naruto they also saw that he did not look pleased, or to be more precise he looked furious, judging by the look on his face and at how his eyes were glowing bright blue again like earlier with lightning coming out from them, although this time much more furiously than before. You made a grave mistake, Ryoku, one that you will regret for the rest of your life, all 5 minutes of it, as you can insult that bastard Namikaze and me all you want. But I will not stand by and let you or anyone insult my mother, and for that, you will die, cried Naruto as he let loose a large burst of killing intent and chakra that create a large burst of wind around him. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.